This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mine melted, made in the USA.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive, live from Radio Row at the 2026 Combine. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you for the next 3 hours, and we've got a heavy hitter with us here to begin. Greg Cosell, of course, of NFL Films. So nice,
Matt. This is
Matt.
a first in Combine history, by the way.
So nice, we're having him on twice.
Exactly. We've never had a repeat guest before. This is my favorite one. Let's do it.
So what do you? I was not part of the first conversation that you had with Greg.
We talked about all kinds of good stuff.
You tell me where you want to go with this one.
I really wanted to focus on some league-wide trends with you, Greg.
Okay.
I mean, I know that you're so dialed in with, up to date with the league, and there's a couple on both sides of the ball. But let's start with a real increase, which really was a Steeler thing too, that from past year in 13 personnel. McVay and the Rams. I mean, they're such chameleons there, and they've changed year after year. What advantages does that present, and do you see that sticking around the league for a while?
Well, it's funny that the Rams, through the first 5 games of the season, did not play one snap of 13 personnel.
Yeah.
And then week 6, they started. And then there were games where they would play 40, 50 snaps of 13 personnel.
Even with 2 great receivers on the team.
Yeah, and when they started playing 13 personnel, believe it or not, the only wide receiver on the field was Devontae Adams, not Puka Nacua.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Devontae Adams is a bad player,
right?
But it wasn't Puka. And
Puka still almost led the league in receiving.
Right. And, of course, then, Devontae got hurt and missed games, and Puka started playing in the 13 personnel as the only receiver. But, obviously, the first thing it does is it forces the defense to decide how they want to play from a personnel standpoint. Mm-hmm. Because, you just think as a general thing, 13 personnel, 3 tight ends, you're going to line up in your base defense, meaning you've got 4 defensive backs on the field. And 7 bigger people. Mm-hmm. Whether you play a 5-2 front or a 4-3, you have 7 bigger people. But if you have the right mix of tight ends, which the Rams did, because they basically had someone like a Davis Allen, who was kind of the blocking tight end. So if they lined up in a 2 backfield set, he was always in the backfield. They have someone like Colby Parkinson, who's kind of a combo platter. He could line up attached to the formation and be a blocker. He could split out a little bit. They had Higbee, who definitely could do both, and probably better deployed, a little more detached, but could do both. Then they had Ferguson, the rookie from Oregon, who's clearly a detached player. I think he ran a 4.5 or so.
He was their first pick when they traded out of the first round, right?
Yeah. So, So obviously, as I said, it starts with what does the defense decide to do from a personnel standpoint, because now the formations that the Rams could use, and other teams as well that played out of 13, depending on who those tight ends were, they become multiple, they become diverse. How do defenses match up? Almost every defense would match up playing some form of zone, because if you start detaching tight ends and you're playing with only 4 DBs on the field, now you're asking perhaps stacked backers to play in space. They're not used to that.
Yeah.
So, they almost know what they're going to get from the defense before the play even starts. And if there's some predictability or little variance, let's use that term, coaches like to use that term, little variance in what you're getting from the defense, then you feel pretty comfortable with your play calls, because you essentially know what you're going to get.
Especially if you have a combination of McVay and Stafford.
Right,
who've seen everything, and you can
Correct.
manipulate people anyway.
So, the question is, does that become a bigger trend because you need the right people, or is it just a case of, certain teams, look, the Steelers did some of it, but it's not as if they were, throwing it all over the field when they did it.
No.
The other thing that sort of is ancillary or the corollary to the 13 personnel was a lot of teams played with 6 offensive linemen this year.
Steelers were at the top of the league with that.
Yeah. Houston was a big 6-0 line personnel offense.
I thought the Bills were really interesting because last year they were super heavy.
But then they got Jackson Hawes,
who's kind of the Darnell Washington.
Right. So, it's really, again, none of us can sit here and say, oh, we're going to see more and more if we don't know the answer to that. But it can give you definite advantages if you have the right trio of tight ends.
So going back, the last 20 years, college linebackers are not used to taking on an old school lead blocking fullback.
No. Yeah.
And they don't even, it creates a new gap coming through the B gap or whatever. How does it affect the run game having those three tight ends on the field? You create different gaps? Does it create different blocking angles?
You're forcing linebackers who, as you say, because that's what the college game is giving the NFL.
Yeah.
The college game there's very few. It's funny, there is one this year in Sonny Styles who's big. I'm sure there's more than one, but
he's really good, by the way.
Yeah, no, really good. I just haven't gotten to the linebackers yet, so I don't want to make it seem like there's no other linebackers like that. But the point is what linebackers then have to be able to do is the term we use is stack and shed. They're going to have to be able to play with physicality. In dealing with
220
climbing,
pounds,
right? In dealing with
Kirkland
offensive
anymore.
linemen, right?
Right.
So now, do you have to be 250 pounds? No, but it's hard to do it at 220. There's some great examples this year, like Kyle Lewis, from Pitt, who. I haven't studied him in detail, but just seeing some plays or some games where I was watching an offense playing against Pitt, he looks like a safety, the build that he has, and he may end up being a guy that could be used in the Eminwari role, for instance.
That was another trend I was going to bring up at some point.
Because there's not going to be 30 of those guys. But, linebackers have to be able to stack and shed. They have to be able to use their hands to control and, control, displace, stack and shed, whatever term you want to use. And a lot of college linebackers they don't really do that.
They've never done it, and they're small.
Yeah, and they're smaller.
Thin-waisted. And,
right. So
give up 100 pounds to these guys.
Yeah, so it's, we'll see about the, it all factors into what you said, Matt, with the run game. Are we're going to see more run game. It's
we're definitely seeing heavier personnel.
Yeah, that we know we're seeing for sure. So, we'll see if we end up seeing more run game or not.
You know this better than I, but it seems like the biggest goal, and it's easier said than done. Seattle was the master of it. But if I always use the NBA equivalent. If I can play defense against big people or a bunch of guards with the same starting five.
Right.
I don't have to substitute. And, Seattle used a lot of different people, but they used the big nickel. And
they used different people up front.
Yeah, they had a rotation.
Essentially, they played big nickel and dime. That's what they essentially did.
They were never in base, hardly.
Yeah, hardly ever.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have to have great defensive tackles first and foremost to pull that off? Because a lot of these teams are playing with lighter boxes, too high, Fangio, still explosives are what everybody fears on defense. But they want to be able to defend the run good enough without giving up explosives.
I think where the defensive tackles come in is more a function of the increase in, sort of quarters or too high.
Okay. Yeah.
Because what happens there? You do not have a safety in the box who takes an extra gap, so now you're losing a gap. So now your defensive tackles, without going into the weeds on this, but I think people can understand it, is they have to play what coaches call gap and a half.
Yeah, it's not old Steelers.
It's not quite two gap where you do this and the peekaboo and where's he going?
Casey Hampton, and Aaron Smith, and those guys.
But they have to be able to play not just one gap, but then half a gap. And if both do that, then they take care of that extra gap because half and a half is one. So, D tackles.
What I don't quite understand is how they do that from a technique standpoint.
I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how they coach that.
That's a coaching thing. I don't know that for sure. But, I mean, you look at the two teams in the Super Bowl and look at their defensive tackles. You had Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy for Seattle, and Jaron Reed, a very good rotational tackle. For the Patriots, you had Christian Barmore, Milton Williams, and then they had the rookie free agent Durden, who turned out to be a very good player.
Yeah.
And Tonga as well, a big guy. So
I think they're more important than they have been.
Well, if I think teams continue to play more of that quarters look, which, of course, one reason that's become in vogue as well is because it takes away the seams. Because when you're playing single high, there's just too many voids, and the seams in particular can be a problem.
Okay.
So, everything sort of – there's a domino effect with everything. And then, of course, all this is cyclical. We'll see – maybe we see this for 2 years, and then an offense, a defense, they come up with something to deal with it, and then all of a sudden things change again. Look, you go back to the Legion of Boom, and everybody wanted to play cover 3, which they did. But then what starts to happen is the voids – offenses figured out the voids. Not every team had Earl Thomas playing post safety.
That helps.
Because for 4 or 5 years, he was the best post safety in the league, just like not every team's going to have Emin-Wari. So, a lot of teams might want to play, quote-unquote, big nickel, where in a sense you're playing with 3 safeties, but that one safety, Emin-Wari, is almost like a Sam linebacker.
He's closer to a linebacker than a free safety, for sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, you need the right people to do those things as well.
So along those lines, and it's a hot topic now. Everybody wants their Emin-Wari, and they don't grow on trees, of course. But
everybody wants big guys and fast guys as opposed to slow guys and small guys.
Yeah, that hasn't changed, I guess. Yeah. But there's a lot of them in the league, Branch and DeJean, and people that they look at these guys like they're corners first.
Right. And
they really aren't that much different, in my opinion. Hamilton, Derwin James.
Well, those are the 3, Emin-Wari, Derwin James, and Hamilton, that are sort of, they're all 6'2.5" plus, 215 plus.
They can take on no line
Right,
block.
And there's not going to be 30 of those guys, though.
No. So, for example, the Steelers played the Texans in the playoff game.
Right.
And everybody's like, boy, these edge defenders are so nasty, and Stingley in the corners are great. And all that stuff's true. But when I previewed it, I tried to tell the audience, Petrie's the guy that brings the room together. He's that big
guy.
nickel guy is a really
he's
important
sort of their
piece.
big nickel, and he's not big. So,
but he plays big. And he's
plays
nasty,
bigger and
like a DeJean.
Yeah, and theoretically, DeJean fits that role, even though he's technically a slot corner.
Yeah.
But so
I think that's why the Steelers got Ramsey, but he couldn't keep him doing it.
So again, I'd have to study in immense detail, and I'm only one person, how truly the Texans use Petrie, because he certainly is not Emin-Wari or Derwin James.
If they walk in the room, they don't look the same.
No. And then see I kind of know how the Eagles use DeJean, although he didn't really play in the box very much, DeJean.
Okay.
He was almost a true slot corner. Obviously there were times based on formation he did, move a little bit to be more of an overhang guy than a slot, depending on what the defensive call was. But he wasn't truly used in the exact same way Emin-Wari was, or Derwin James, who very often lines up, on the edge, a lot. Look, it's just different philosophies with different coaches. But the bottom line point is, what do you always hear after a Super Bowl? You always hear that, there's the blueprint.
There's the blueprint.
There's the blueprint. That's great if you have Emin-Wari.
If you have the Legion of Boom talent,
exactly.
It works.
Right.
Last thing along those lines, too, I think the Shanahans and McVays and so many others now, too, but are so good at making your cornerbacks tackle.
Yeah.
In the day, you could just have coverage corners.
Right.
And now they're going to run Derrick Henry at Hilton in the slot. It just seems like a lot of the smaller slot receivers and especially corners are starting to really fade away because they can't defend the run.
No, and it's funny you say that because I think that's where, there's more and more pre-snap movement in the game than ever. And most people think about pre-snap movement in terms of the pass game. But it's really a big deal in the run game because it messes with your run support principles.
Okay.
I almost, and just because I'm older and have been doing this for a long time, what I'm seeing a lot of reminded me of Joe Gibbs in the Washington Redskins in the 80s, who did a ton of motion, and you do it to mess with run support.
Okay.
There was a game this year with Ben Johnson that I remember like it was yesterday when they came to Philadelphia and beat the Eagles and ran for 250 or 300 yards, and the way he used pre-snap movement motion in the run game was just masterful. It screwed the Eagles. Run support up. The numbers got screwed up. The Eagles
Great
started
blocking angles,
and the Eagles started moving people around, which they normally don't like to do. So
you could tell they were scrambling.
Yeah,
huh?
they were trying to figure it out during the game. Yeah, and it didn't quite work. So I think that's one reason there's so much more. That's another theoretical trend in the league is there's more pre-snap movement.
Last thing I have for you, because I didn't want to keep you forever.
No, that's
our
fine.
Second trip, but it seems like under center is starting to really become a big trend too. And
well, I'm a big believer in that, and I heard Josh Daniels say something that I've been saying for years. Not that I sent the trend. He's obviously smarter than I am, But I always believe that under center play action was way more effective than shotgun play action.
Okay.
Because what is the point of play action? The point of play action is to put second-level defenders in conflict. That's one of the points, obviously.
If you can just freeze them for a beat.
Right, and because second-level players have both a run responsibility and a pass coverage responsibility. So you're trying to put them in conflict, mental conflict, play with their eyes. So under center play action, it takes longer for the offensive play to show what it is. So therefore, the second-level defenders have to wait longer.
They got to hold their water.
They've got to hold. Yeah, they got to either attack downhill if they think it's a run, or just stay where they are if they're uncertain.
And then A.J. Brown's running across or behind
you. And then if it's a pass,
or whatever,
they're late to their underneath zone coverage responsibilities. So I've always.
It's even just half a step is enough.
Oh, a millimeter of a second changes everything in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know that. I mean, so
people don't realize how important alignment is down to the smallest.
No question.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point I'm making is under center play action, which you're definitely right. I think you're seeing that more and more, and I think that's one reason for it.
And as you mentioned, no one's reinventing the wheel. This has happened forever. You're just putting different concepts
and nothing's
together.
100%.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I get that a lot because when you talk, people think, he said that. Well, nothing. There's so many different ways to play in the NFL, and nothing is 100%. At its core, everything's about probability and tendency. That's why coaches watch so much, because they're trying. Look, someone like Kyle Shanahan, okay? In the Kyle Shanahan system, the play caller is the star. Kyle's the star. He's not giving Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's not coming to the line of scrimmage and trying to figure things out. He's calling the play. And when I talk to defensive coaches, they say Kyle Shanahan is the best there is in terms of understanding what the defense is doing. That's film study.
Yeah,
that's why all these guys do all this stuff. That's the bottom line.
It seems like the best defensive minds understand protections as well as O-line coaches.
I mean, you saw that in the Super Bowl where the Seahawks early in the game, first two possessions blitzed. They were not a high percentage blitz team at all during the season. In fact, they were near the bottom. So what did he do? He came out and when I studied that tape, I mean, I was in the stands for the game, but I was just enjoying it as a fan. I wasn't taking notes. But then when I got back to my office at Films and was watching it, boy, on a couple of those blitzes, you could see he just knew what the protection was, and he broke down and that's what, when you hear the phrase broke down the protection, what it basically means is that you understand, based on a defensive front look, how the offense will protect that, and then you can eat up their protection and then get someone free. So because you know how they will protect.
It's similar to coverages where there's no perfect one or everybody would run
it. Right.
So every protection has a weakness.
Right.
Every coverage has a weakness.
Yeah.
Or everybody run.
I mean, everything theoretically, it can be attacked and broken down. And it happens in the NFL. These guys are pretty smart.
Yeah.
And they're paid a lot of money too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best of the best.
Yeah.
Greg Cosell, kind enough to join us again here on Radio Row. Always enjoy hearing from you this week, every
fantastic.
year. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh, no problem, guys. Love talking to you.
We're going to get to our first break here. Plenty more to go. Our buddy Chris Halicke going to join us here on Radio Row as well. We are just getting the moving and the shaking going here on The Drive. Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine. Live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mined, melted, made in the USA.
Back on Radio Row inside the Indiana Convention Center, it's our ongoing Combine coverage on your 24/7 home of the black and the gold. We're with you here until 5 o'clock today. Joining us now, as he typically does all throughout the regular season, and certainly plenty during the offseason as well, it's our buddy Chris Halicke from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Chris, thanks for taking the time, brother. How we feel? This is always the first day that the week's catching up with you a little bit. It's a bit of a grind, but at the same time, we finally get on field stuff tonight. So it's the balance of, like, you're dragging a little bit there's a nice little carrot being dangled in front of us too. Still.
Yeah, man, it's a fun week. It's a week unlike any other in the entire calendar year. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of networking going on, but it's fun to learn about these players and to try to find out as much as we can about how the Steelers feel about these players. I remember last year. Last day I was here, I remember having a conversation with a source, and that's when I found out that they really, really liked Derek Harmon with meeting with him here, and lo and behold, he ends up being their first-round pick. Now, they love a whole bunch of other players that they don't end up getting a chance to draft, but it's still, this is when the process is really starting to kick off. You got pro days coming up after this. You got the pre-draft visits that'll come up, but it's a fun week here for sure.
You mentioned Harmon, so let's just start with the D-line.
Yeah.
Everyone always talks about is Rodgers coming back, but no one mentions is Cam coming back. I mean, I'm going to operate under the assumption you get at least one more year out of him. But do you still think a nose tackle type should be somewhere in the mix here as an addition?
It could be.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that's dangerous about the draft, regardless of the position, but especially a position like I don't want to call it a niche position, but it's not a common one in today's NFL.
Yeah. And I don't need Vince Wilfork,
right?
But Hargrave.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but the one thing you don't want to ever do in the draft is reach for a position just to address a need. That's what free agency's for. You'd prefer to do that. The draft is, especially earlier on in the draft, it's meant to these are the type of players we want to draft to impact the franchise, almost regardless of position. Of course,
That's the perfect world, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you definitely turn over more stones. Possibly. It'll be interesting to see what Mike McCarthy, Patrick Graham, what those guys want to do with maybe Keanu Benton, who's been the nose tackle, how they feel about Y.A. Black and anybody else in particular. But I don't think you completely ignore nose tackle this week either.
And I'd prefer to do it in the draft, and I'm excited to watch these guys work out to figure out which ones I like better. But the free agency, big-bodied interior guys don't look real exciting to me.
Chris, pick 21. We've talked a lot about trenches. We've talked a lot about wide receivers. What's your vibe, on the quarterback possibility? I know you reported the Steelers have met with Ty Simpson. I don't think that is shocking to anybody, but now we know that's the case.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
Exactly right. Because that's what you're here to do, right?
It's almost a formality at this point.
That's the point of being here.
It's breaking news, but it's really not breaking news.
That's why we're all here in Indianapolis, is to have these conversations. Does that feel like a real possibility? That's a very broad way to label it. But is it not obviously a favorite in the clubhouse, but is it something that you think is a real possibility?
Well, a really big variable on that is, how did that interview go?
Sure.
And that's something else entirely, and that's just the first step in it. If they meet with him again at the Alabama Pro Day and have dinner with him, and then they bring him in for a pre-draft visit and they hit the hat trick on that.
Read the tea leaves.
Then
second date, third date.
Yeah. Then maybe, just maybe it's a possibility. I think it's hard to say definitively at this point. There's a lot to when it comes to competitive drive, when it comes to a lot of other things. He doesn't have that one trait where it's just you go goo goo gaga over it. He doesn't have that elite arm. He doesn't have the elite size. He doesn't have that. He's not the most dynamic, mobile, dual threat type guy. So there's got to be something between the ears that really gets the Steelers pumping if that's a legitimate possibility at 21, because I've operated under the informed opinion that the next time they take a quarterback in the first round, it's not going to be just a guy. It's going to be a guy that they really, really believe is their next franchise quarterback. Yeah,
and to me, I'm not sure Simpson is a strong enough candidate.
I have my doubts on that, but that's why I'm curious. How did that interview go, and how does it go from here? Because even if he knocked it out of the park in this interview, what if it doesn't go quite as well if they meet with him again at the pro day or the pre-draft visit or whatever? And maybe, just maybe, they like him a lot, but when you get to 21 overall or you get to a certain spot in the first round where they were considering trading up or anything like that, there's another player that they've already met with that they are head over heels in love with, and it's we'd rather have that guy than Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I totally get it. Sticking with quarterbacks, most people think this part of the process will really favor Simpson. He's a coach's son, should do really well in interviews, on the board, et cetera. I've never met him, but that's just what you read and what you hear. Are there any other mid-round dart throws at that position? I bring up Cole Payton a lot, and I bring up Drew Uhler a lot. Is there any? Do those guys interest you, or would you not even bother? Sawyer Robinson. Oh yeah.
Well, Drew Uhler has, talked about the traits. Drew Uhler has some of the traits. He's got the size. He's got the arm. When you look at some of the concerns with him, those are usually things coaches run to, and they like to embrace. If there are mechanical issues when it comes to footwork or upper body and lower body being disconnected, things like that, leading to some wild throws that you should never be missing.
Yeah.
Coaches aren't afraid of that. At least they shouldn't be.
No, and all these guys will have their own personal quarterback guy,
and that's
too.
The other
right?
part of it, too, is that. And then how does that dynamic work between Mike McCarthy and those quarterback guys? Because who knows how it worked between Mike Tomlin and those guys? Because every quarterback's got their own
you have
that they work with. Yeah,
that's where Josh Allen changed things. It wasn't because of the Bills.
Yeah,
right?
but then again, I'm curious to see going forward, how does Mike McCarthy embrace that? How does he incorporate that as part of not just who they might draft, but Will Howard is another guy. Like how is that going to work? So Drew Aller's a guy who's interesting to me, but it's mainly because he has those traits. When you look at just the arm, if you just turn on
things you can't coach.
Yeah, if you turn on the Big Ten championship against Oregon, you see the throw that he made on 4th and 10, where he's getting pulled by a defensive tackle and he just whips it, and it's just a seed to the end zone between two defenders. You're like, I want that.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I want that. And then
I at least have seen it, and I know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me, and if you can get that in the 3rd round potentially, or even late in the 2nd round, I'm
you'd be interested at least.
I'm interested in it. Yeah.
Defensive backs and tight ends at the podium today, correct?
Yeah.
It feels like the big news: Jermad McCoy not going to work out. Correct.
Oh, I didn't know that.
After missing all last season. I mean, he's 13 months removed from that ACL injury. But that throws a big wrench into this process.
Yeah, he did meet with the Steelers though, so you can at least get the meeting with him. You can just pick his brain. You can do all the things you do in the meeting with him. That's interesting at least. Yeah, you'd like to see the measurables. You'd like to see potentially 40-yard dash. Whatever else he's doing. You want to see him do some things after missing an entire season. But man, it's so tantalizing. And the thing that really sucks about these guys that are coming off of injuries is they're such wild cards in the draft. Because look, when you pure talent alone, it's like the Jordan Tyson conversation. Pure talent alone, you take injuries out of it, Tyson's a top 10 pick. But you have to include the injury factor, and the same thing with Jermad McCoy too. So it's interesting, and I'm curious to see if the Steelers continue to court him throughout the rest of this process.
So speaking of defensive backs, what are your thoughts or hunches of what Jalen Ramsey's future is here? I know they could open up a lot of cap space if they let him go. They have a lot of cap space. When Omar was at the podium, I didn't get the hunch that was something they were interested in doing. From
what I've been told and what I've reported, I highly doubt he's being cut.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've been saying the last few days too. But do you think he's a free safety, or do you think he's a slot corner? Because that changes things a lot in terms of the safety room would be barren.
Yeah, it would be, and I think that's why when you look at you go to the podium sessions today with the corners and especially the safeties, they've been meeting with safeties, and they're going to meet.
It's a really good safety draft.
Yeah, and they're going to meet with players of all positions, but whenever there's not a lot of safeties in the class, so if they're meeting with a high percentage of that position, that probably
they're
means
going to draft at least one.
Yeah, and that also might mean that they don't want to necessarily put Ramsey in one spot overall. My hunch right now is that primarily he could be your slot corner, but then depending on what happens in free agency or even the draft in terms of if you get a Jermad McCoy at 21 overall, something like that, can he be your outside corner when you're in base? Where you're not going to be in base that often, so you don't have Ramsey out there a lot. But I think slot corner is probably where I'm leaning toward right now, but free safety would not surprise me either.
It's funny, Rob and I almost touched on this, then we go to break, and then we got a guest, and we never end up talking about it. But I want to talk about it with you, too. If Ramsey, last year there was 3 corners and 2 safeties. Thornhill was one, Slay was one. Neither one really worked out. Mm-hmm. But we would often talk about, okay, that's your nickel, with Ramsey, Porter, and Elliott. Okay, that's easy. But what about when there's 4? Are they going to take Thornhill off the field, or are they going to take Slay off the field? In this case, and then I was like, well, Ramsey should never leave the field. Now, I could make a scenario where I don't want Ramsey ever being an outside corner, so he's either going to be a slot or a free, and you want to move him back and forth doing that all the time, or does he come off the field and base? I mean, I don't think there's an answer, but I think it's just an angle we need to talk about.
I think it's something that they really have to work through, and free agency and the draft are going to dictate that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
what's available.
Yeah, well, if you bring back James Pierre, who would you rather have on the outside? Would you rather have Ramsey or Pierre?
I think Pierre.
There's a really good,
and the contract will probably tell us the answer to that.
Right.
Yeah,
and
that happens.
But if they're not able to bring back Pierre, and then that makes corner more of a need in the draft, then do you make that
second-round pick or Ramsey going out there? Yeah,
and it depends on who you take, because there are a few corners in this draft that are going to be able to become starters pretty quickly, whether it be day one or maybe not like the first game of the season, but maybe by the time October turns into November, then okay, yeah, they're good enough to start, or whatever it is. It's an interesting conversation that's got to continue to happen, because I don't think that they've just completely we're sold on Ramsey being right here. It's an interesting wild card in this, but I think one of the things that Omar Khan's always done is he's just brought in as many good players as he possibly can, and then we'll just figure it out later.
And his versatility helps too.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Chris Halicke, DK Pittsburgh Sports, kind enough to join us here live on Radio Row inside the Indiana Convention Center, right in the middle of a busy week and a busy day. Thanks for taking the time as always, dude.
Of course, dude. Thanks for having me, guys.
You're one of our favorites, and we will certainly be keeping in touch here all throughout this off-season process. Got to get to our last break here of the 2 o'clock hour. We'll come back. We'll get into some news of the day. We got to talk about some measurements that we got today.
I've seen nothing yet.
For some of these defensive linemen, getting ready for on-field stuff this evening. Plenty to get to as we roll along here. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mine melted, made in the USA.
Back inside the Indiana Convention Center, Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, special on-location edition of The Drive as we continue to roll along here throughout the 2026 NFL Scouting Combine. This will be our last 3-hour edition of The Drive, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a special start time tomorrow because Friday's a busy day. We do all of our radio stuff, and then, we got about a 5.5, 6-hour drive to get us all back home into the station, into our houses and everything. So
we're going to pack all this stuff up and load it up.
We sure do. We love this TV guy.
He's all right.
He's a good dude. But, man, did he bring a lot of stuff. We got a lot more
we got a
lot more stuff to pack up this time, I tell you what. So we'll have a little bit earlier edition of The Drive. The Drive will be less of an afternoon drive and more of a midday show tomorrow. We'll be on from noon to 2, you and I. And we'll have Rob.
And everybody can download it and find that stuff too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And we'll have Rob King with us throughout the show as well. So we've been 9 to 5 all week, just 9 to 2 tomorrow. But still another great day of coverage on the Friday to get us up out of here. We'll have some on-field stuff to talk about, some more measurements to talk about. I think
I got a guest or two probably lined up, too, for tomorrow.
A special guest.
I just don't want to guarantee anything, but I think there's a good chance, yeah.
Okay, so don't spill the beans is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I just don't want to get people excited and not be able to come through. But I like our chances.
Matt, you always deliver, dude.
We got a couple, maybe a couple lined up.
Maybe a couple fun ones before we get out of here today, and certainly tomorrow. Matt, some news of the day quickly before we get into some measurements. Not as much as there has been the last few.
There was a trade, though, wasn't there? Did you see that? I think the Titans and Jets made a defensive line trade. I only saw the blurb real quick.
Oh, Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson to the Titans for Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming because these are two young players. Sweat really was good for the Titans next to Simmons, and I can understand why the Jets would be very interested in him. They got to start getting foundational building blocks on that team. And Johnson, I think it's his fifth-year option year. And he was kind of a tough one because he was coming on like gangbusters as a former late first-round pick. Was it straight up, or were there any picks involved?
That's what I'm trying to find out here. It looks like
I don't know who would be more valuable than the other. I think they'd be pretty darn close.
Player-for-player trade, according to ESPN.
So the Titans have cap space, and they had a need as a 4-3 end, and Johnson fits that need, but they had to give up something quite substantial, a big – important defensive tackle on a rookie deal, which is you hate getting rid of. I wonder, now I think about it, I mean, Reuben Bain had short arms. Did that make the Titans go, boy, we really liked him, and we were thinking about drafting him at 6. Why don't we just trade for a defensive end instead? I don't know. I mean, I'm really looking into things here. But I don't know if the Jets were going to pick up his fifth-year option or not. I don't know that they would extend him because they do have Will McDonald, who's a really good edge pass rusher as well. But my biggest takeaway is I think this really implies yesterday Arvell Reese said, I want to be an edge rusher. Jets pick it too. Like, we'll probably just take our best guy. We had an edge rusher to spare. Let's turn.
That's a good reading of the tea leaves there by you.
You can start to figure out how they think.
If we've suddenly got a spare edge rusher, let's turn that into a defensive tackle.
Into a defensive tackle.
A good young one that's going to be cost-controlled for a few years.
Exactly. So I really understand it from a Jets perspective. I just wonder, I don't know the Titans' D-tackle depth chart enough to be like, maybe they have a fifth-round pick I don't know about that they're happy with, something like that. Or they have they still have a lot of cap space too. Maybe they have a guy lined up. But to me, for them, it's almost like we created a need to fill a need, as opposed to where the Jets, it makes more sense. There's an easier answer.
Interesting moving and shaking here. That trade
it's a fun trade, though.
Won't be processed until the start of the new league year on March 11th, but all agreed to according. And Jermaine Johnson even took to his social media accounts to thank the Jets for the last 4 years. So it seems like all they got to do is just wait for that thing to become officially official. But sounds like it's about as close to that as it could be at this point.
Yep.
Matt, we talked a little bit yesterday about Anthony Richardson, Colts quarterback. We had Matt Taylor on, of course, yesterday, the voice of the Colts. You can go back and find that on our YouTube page and your various podcast channels as well.
I joined them today, too. We had a good chat on their airwaves.
What they want to ask you about?
Scouting background stuff. We talked a lot about, like, what the 15-minute interviews are like.
So not Steelers-specific stuff?
Not really.
Okay.
And we finished things up with, how would you address the Colts' needs? I didn't bring up Pittman or Richards. We didn't know the Richardson news at the time. But it was a lot of how things go here, your combine experience and things like that.
Well, Anthony Richard has been given permission to seek a trade, given his uncertain future here in Indianapolis. This is a similar, we just talked about this, I think it was 2 days ago, with Tremaine Edmonds and the Buffalo Bears, the given permission to seek a trade agreement.
Which often is, like in the Edmonds case, is different than this, because Edmonds is big money. That's either, hey, we're probably going to cut you, so if you want to go get us a 6th or 7th round pick in return, we'd rather have that, and you can facilitate it. Maybe you can go to the team you want, and they have a lot of cap space, and they don't mind to pick up, but we can't afford you. Richardson, so I'm not giving Matt Taylor a hard time because I'm guilty of this, you're guilty of this, Pursuita's guilty of this, Dulac's guilty of this. When you're so focused on one team, I brought up Richardson to him yesterday, and he kind of thought, well, you got to develop him, you got to keep him. And I've kind of thought all along, like, I don't think he's going to be back. It's a big profile guy. It's going to be Daniel Jones's team. I don't need the distraction. So I always thought somebody might give you less than you think, a mid-round pick for him, and maybe he can be a reclamation project for the Eagles behind Hurts if they trade McKee or
you
whatever.
Think that's you don't go out and get him right now to be your guy this year.
I
you
don't
go
think
out
so
and
at
get
all.
him to stash him. Like you've talked a
Yeah.
little bit about, let him sit behind one of these guys for a year and reset,
rehab a little bit.
recalibrate.
Yeah.
Go to QB rehab a little bit.
Exactly. Go to some good team that doesn't just take the expectations off my plate. Really good, structured offense, offensive-minded coach, that type of thing. I can just sit and learn. The best places to do that are like San Francisco and the Rams,
Sure.
teams like that.
Sure.
People used to do it under Sean Payton a lot. Like when Jameis Winston's career got kind of funky, took a lot less money to just go sit behind Drew Brees. Great,
Smart.
Go sit behind Mahomes. Or maybe that's even a good spot because Mahomes might not be ready to start the season. Somewhere that's you're not going to threaten the Josh Allen, be his backup or something like that. And a year
Jordan
from
Love,
now,
go follow Malik Willis's footsteps.
chances are you're going to stay healthy finally, and maybe put out some great preseason game tape or
Maybe you get in for a game or two and do well.
yeah, right, and you just kind of take some of the stress off of you. So I don't think his story's written yet, but
He's
I've never
he's
really.
another one of those guys who's still a puppy.
And he's so young and he's so talented. It's just can't stay on the field. And what's crazy is when you drafted him, he needs a lot of work. But you can't give it to him because you can't get on the field, right?
And that's always the conundrum.
Right.
Of you could say that I think about any position.
Yeah,
certainly,
yeah.
But especially quarterback
Right.
because it's not rotational. It's similar. Maybe the offensive line is maybe the only other position
Right.
group that's that guy doesn't come off the field. So it's not a third defensive lineman that's going to get 10 snaps a game, and you can kind of hold their hand, training wheels, however you want to describe it.
Or you could have a wide receiver that's super fast that isn't a developed route runner, but he could go out there and run 8 go routes for you. Okay, at least you're in a stadium, as Tomlin likes to say. And then next time you
get put a little bit
try
more
it
on his
out.
plate.
Right?
A little bit more on his plate. A little bit more on his plate. You can't do that with quarterbacks.
No.
It's like all or nothing. So what's the best approach in your mind when you have a guy like that? Is it all preseason and training camp?
Yeah, but he's so big and he's so strong and he's so athletic. At least he's your tush-push guy or depending if it's behind Mahomes, then you're never going to take him off the field, obviously. But, if it's like Lamar's rookie year with Flacco, you have a package for him or something along those lines.
About 2 minutes.
You'd like to be able to utilize him. Taysom Hill role or something.
Sure.
Yeah,
and I guess that's kind of the one cheat code to get those quarterbacks' feet wet a little bit.
So if you're just a pocket passer, you can't even do those things.
Sure.
Right.
It's also, though, and you know how this works better than me, if he does go to one of these places where he's behind a Stafford or a Josh Allen or a clear, established, unicorn, dynamite franchise quarterback, they don't want to take those guys off the field.
And what's crazy, and more I think, too, and they're not going to take those guys off the field, right.
The only time we ever saw that was with Drew Brees and Taysom Hill. Every other time, it's like, I'm not taking
and
my
I always
future
had a
Hall of
problem
Fame.
with that.
I'm not taking my future Hall of Fame quarterback off the field for a gadget play.
Yeah, and that always bothered me. I know they yards per play when Taysom Hill was out there back then were really good. It was like 6.5. But I'm like, Drew Brees on the sideline. And
he's going to Canton.
He's in the prime of his career. You can't tell me this is better.
Yes, it's not like 33-year-old Russell Wilson going to the sideline for Justin Fields to come in for a few plays.
Exactly.
Like,
You're taking true
this is
freaking
prime
Brees
Drew
off the field,
Brees.
Right. I guess what Richardson might be looking at is, can I be the next Malik Willis?
Yes. I think
that's a perfect example. He was a disaster with the Titans and in way over his head for similar reasons, but similar talent.
Now he's going to get a nice contract.
He might get $30 million a year from just going to Green Bay and doing what he did.
There's a lot to be to be gained, I think, specifically from that Malik Willis example. 1 hour in the books, 2 more hours to go. More guests when we return. We've got to get into some of these measurements from today. We've got to talk, of course, about the big story of Ruben Bain and the short arm length measurements of today. We'll get into all that and more in hour number 2. Just getting started here. 1 hour in the books, 2 more to go on this Thursday, live from Radio Row inside the Indiana Convention Center, downtown Indianapolis. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, all part of our ongoing Combine coverage. Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mine melted, made in the USA.
Hour number 2 of The Drive on Radio Row. We are on location, Indiana Convention Center. It is our ongoing NFL Combine 2026 coverage here on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, kicking off the second hour. More guests, more conversation, and we've got some measurements across the timeline here. Finally, Matt.
Okay.
We've discussed this. It's the weirdest part of this week. It's like a hurry up and wait. We get so late into the process before we get any actual combine, tangible numbers and drills and results.
And what's funny is you're doing this at 3 o'clock Eastern, where this is when everybody's going over to watch the drills now, finally. Like,
yes.
This place is quiet or calmed down a lot around us, but a couple more are going to start going over. You'll see people start, like Greg Cosell was saying, he's like, as long as I'm over there by 3, I'm good. You know? So everyone's now focusing to on the field athletic stuff finally. But we've been here a long time until you get to that point.
Absolutely.
3 o'clock on Thursday is when you finally get around to that stuff.
I mean, we've done a lot of radio.
A lot
of radios to this point before getting to that stuff. And we got the TVs here on Radio Row with some of the moving and shaking that is happening just across the street at the Lucas Oil Convention Center. Or the Lucas Oil Stadium, pardon me. We are inside the convention center. Matt, hey, man, not to pump your tires, okay? But I enjoy doing radio with you all the time.
Yeah, we have a blast.
Doesn't matter the circumstance. We have a great time. But especially at a time like this when I can hearken to your scouting background.
Okay.
Because everybody's got
Tis the season, yeah.
Everybody's got an opinion on football, but not everybody has lived it in the scouting realm like you have. The story of today, certainly the measurement of Reuben Bain Jr. and his arms. We hinted at this a little bit yesterday. He was expected to come in a little shorter than desired. But today, the official measurement of just 30 7/8 inches for the arm length. That's probably about 2 or 3 inches shorter than desired. If he's selected in the first round, that arm length would be the shortest for any edge rusher drafted in the first round since 2003, which is the earliest year for which ESPN Research has data on this. The shortest.
That's pretty telling there. That's the first I heard that. Wow.
Very telling.
Yeah.
The shortest arm length for a first-round edge rusher since 2003 is 31 3/8 inches, which was Jerome McDougal, the Eagles, 15th overall in 2003, Matt. And, I mean, he's he is, even shorter than that. That jumps off the page, I think, at everyone when you see how long it's been, how rare that is. But what's that mean? What's the concern? Why is that such a big deal?
There's 2 things I want to talk about first before we get to him specifically.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've gotten varied measurements on hand sizes and arm lengths, particularly arm lengths, from Senior Bowl to Combine to Pro Day. And a lot of people have just, blamed young scouts. Like, he doesn't really know what he's doing. I'm like, but why is that ever a thing? There's a spot in your arm right here is supposedly where you're supposed to put it till the absolute furthest point of your finger. That's your arm length.
Gotcha.
And I don't know why. So maybe
you want to measure me TV throughout this exercise?
So I wonder, is he going, I know mine are longer than that. Maybe they screwed it up. I'm just saying that never used to be a thing for my whole life until 2 or 3 years ago. And now at these different outlets, you'll hear, wow, his arms are 2 inches longer than they were at the Combine. They didn't grow. Somebody measured them wrong. And that never used to be something anybody would bring up. But it has come up lately. So for his sake, I'm hoping whoever measured him shortchanged him a little bit. And it is interesting to me that he's 30 7/8. 31 sounds a lot better than 30 7/8.
Yes, it does.
We're talking about 1/8 of an inch, which is insanity. It's still unusually short. Another thing that's really important with arm length, too, and that's why they do have 2 different measurements, but it's more of an O-line thing, is wingspan. Because wingspan also accounts for how wide your chest is.
Sure.
So that also is interesting to me. But for an edge rusher, I think arm length is way more important than wingspan. because I'm often going to hit you with one arm, one hand first. And if I'm taller than you, and if I can touch you before you touch me,
big advantage.
And whatever that gap is, just in arm length, we both get our hands out the exact same time, I'm always going to win that battle.
It's the other side of the Will Campbell conversation.
Exactly. So I've mentioned this before. I did a podcast with Ross Tucker for years and years and years. Really smart guy. He was a guard / tackle / center. And he knew he was never the best player on the field in the NFL. But he was really serviceable, Ivy League guy, and got the most out of his abilities. And I often asked him, I'm like, as a player, if you could have changed one thing, you weren't the biggest, the strongest, the most athletic, he's like, I'd have given you $1 million for an extra inch arm.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd go against Richard Seymour, and that guy is touching me way before I'm touching him, and he's not nice about it. And I can play this thing perfect. And I'm always going to be at an immediate disadvantage. And it's hard. I mean, I think it might be easier as an edge rusher because my get-off could be so strong and I could come so low and
get the right leverage.
hit on the rise as opposed to being like a guard where Richard Seymour or Cam Hayward just locks you out and throws you around. And then all of a sudden I'm on my heels. But it's going to be really hard to overcome. And every team will look at it different. I use this example a lot because everyone knows I was at Pitt for 3 years. And was always in recruiting. And we didn't beat Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State on many players, but we did recruit some of the same players. And Michigan, especially then, we knew what their they had strict parameters.
You must be this tall to ride the ride.
Yeah, if it was a wide out and we're like, boy, he's 5'11 and a quarter, we might get him.
If he's not 6 foot,
if he's 6 foot and a quarter, be like, I think he's going to Michigan.
Yeah.
But they didn't make any exceptions at all positions then, and they had the luxury of doing it. I mean, to us, it was like, well, this kid's great. If he was 5'10", we'd take him. Because he's going to play for us. And not like Pitt's a bad program, but Michigan was better. They just had more to pick from, and they were nationally recruiting. So I think some teams, and it's not necessarily because they're better, they just believe more than others that this is a deal breaker, Now, some edge guys, I always think of Khalil Mack too, but it's a long arm technique where people that are watching will be able to tell better. If you're the tackle, I'm going to try to make a T with my shoulders compared to your shoulders. So we're like this, and I'm going to long arm you. So even if your arms are longer than me, I'm not giving you chest to hit.
Yes.
And
like smallest possible
target.
Yeah.
I'm going to get as skinny in the middle of you and try to long arm you with, this kind of motion and still have this one off. But then everyone knows it's coming too. That's all you got.
Sure.
These guys learn stuff so fast,
Oh, there's no secrets anymore.
No, right.
For reference, Matt, so the 30 7/8 inches, we've talked a lot about Caleb Banks, the big boy from Florida, defensive tackle, 35-inch arms.
Ooh.
So that's an over 4-inch difference.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's like that's a substantial amount. That's like half a hand size for me. These guys' hands are bigger, but for me, that's like half a hand size, maybe even more.
That means a lot. It means a lot. So to put in perspective, this is a Will Campbell conversation. In a perfect world, an offensive tackle, if they're at 34, you're like, right, check the box, done. If it's a little over 33, people are, we'll let slide. O-line's a shortage right now. He could be the perennial, start him at tackle, maybe we'll move him to guard guy, but that might not be a deal breaker. So 35 for Banks is extremely long. I'm sure Starks is like 37. You know what I mean? And he's got the wide chest too, so his wingspan's even wider. Just put it in perspective for that.
Have you been to the Steelers Hall of Honor?
That's
Museum?
why I mentioned because his wingspan
is
massive because he's also got the wide shoulders too.
Yes.
But yeah, for Banks, that's a massive advantage. Being over 34 is unusually long for a human being.
Arm length for Max Starks, 35.5 inches.
Okay. So I actually would have guessed longer, but his wingspan's super wide, right.
I think Max's chest is the size of Rhode Island, I think.
Right. Shoulder to shoulder is a long distance.
It's funny. I put in Max Stark's combine results on Google, and it gets everything back. And then, according to AI, he was valued for his immense frame, in quotes, size 19 shoes, and ability to manage physical defenders, in parentheses, size 19 shoes. That's pretty good. Max ran a 5.
Oh, they're actually running now.
Oh, yes, they are.
It's hard to see from here, but I'm just happy to see the first ones.
Oh, I love it. Max ran a 5.43 second 40-yard dash, vertical jump of 27.5 inches, broad jump of 9.8, and 20-yard shuttle of 4.72 seconds.
Okay.
Caleb Banks is about to run now.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how this big man does here.
This is going to be a common thing, but we talked to so many draft experts. I think it was Trevor that said, I don't know if Banks has any chance to be there in 21. Because I've asked a couple people, like, would there be whoever DT1 is? Do you think they're at 21 and worth it? He said, I don't think Banks is going to be there. He's going to be gone.
Yeah,
and I can't.
Especially if he runs well here.
I mean, this would sure help.
This is a big moment for him in terms of just putting a good number down.
Because his body type is exactly what you're looking for.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I've got all the measurements here.
I'm guessing he's over 6'6".
6'6". 6'0", so that means 6'6" and 2. Is that 2 12s?
2 8s. So it's 6'6" and a quarter.
6'6" and a quarter. Okay, 300.
We'll do a lesson after he runs real quick.
327 pounds. He false started
again. Struggling.
He's
is
got
Gore still doing the starts?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. TV says he thinks so. It looks like him.
It
looks
like
him.
him.
Yeah,
there
he is. They're
yep,
showing him.
Yep.
Oh,
Good.
Legendary. Mark Gorshak, of course, was with the Steelers forever. Now he's
great dude, yeah.
He's a Senior Bowl affiliated, right?
I think so. I mean, Senior Bowl has a scouting staff.
Yes.
Year round.
Yes.
You get the invite or not.
Yep. All right.
I'm glad he's still doing the starts. He's great at it.
He's coaching up Caleb Banks here. Come on, big fella. Let's see what you got. Third time's a charm.
Yeah, this guy's not getting off the line like he likes.
No, he's not. He's got. You could tell he knows how big this is. Maybe some nerves here early on for Caleb Banks as he gets set once again. Look at Gorsh, man, bent over, hollering at him.
He's into it, man.
I love this. And this time we're gonna see it.
So he's moving pretty well for such a huge human being.
My goodness, is he massive? 5.05.
What'd you say he weighed in at? He's over
327.
Oh, that's a win.
That's
a
win.
That's
a win.
He's not a fat guy at all.
He ran
got
faster
big shoulders.
He ran faster than Max Starks.
You could definitely convince me at 21 that would make me real happy.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
6'6" and a quarter, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. So how that works? Should I give a
2.46,
test real quick?
2.468. Yeah, go ahead. Give us a primer, Scout Matthew.
So I am 6'0",
6'0", Oh, good Lord. 6'2". I know that part. It's just the last digit that always has thrown me off.
7/8.
And 7/8.
So I'm a smidge under 6'3", or at least I was 20 years ago with the Browns. I probably lost a quarter of an inch since then too. So where it gets a little confusing, you always got to remember the last number is in eights. It won't be an 8. It'll be either a 0, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Gotcha.
You know, but you can get 5, 1, 1, 6, 5, 11 and 6 8s, 5, 11 and 3 quarters.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you're either going to start with a 5 or 6. There's no 7s. There's no 4s walking the planet.
So I would be like a 5'105".
Okay, that would be 5'10" and 5 8s.
I think I'm a little under 5'11". I think.
Okay.
Maybe a full. Maybe a 4. Maybe
if you're
5'10" and a half.
Just under 5'11", you'd be 5'107".
7. Yeah, I don't think I'm that close. I think I'm more like 5 or half. But that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's an easy way to do it without the 8s. Well, it's not an easy way to do it. It's a weird way of thinking about it, but right.
85 3/4 inch wingspan for
Banks.
For Banks.
Wow.
Good Lord, man.
No, he's making money these last couple of weeks, Senior Bowl included.
Good Lord, man. Yeah, he certainly is, and that was a good start for him there in that 40-yard dash and getting that time close to 5 seconds flat.
I wonder if he'll run again. I mean, you're that big and you go under 5. It's like wow. Like if he would have done the first one under that, I bet he's like, I'm done. But this one, his camp might be like, don't run again and run a 5.18. Like 505 is
Good.
enough.
That checks the box for your
be
size
done.
and for everything. That checks the box.
So I'm almost certain last year, remember Matthew Golden was the fastest guy here for the Texas wide receiver? Because he ran one and set the record or whatever. Had had a phenomenal time. And you could tell he was shocked when he saw it. Like, they might have screwed up. I'm not running again. I'm fast, but I'm not that fast. I really got that impression.
Was there a nice breeze that came in through the Lucas
Someone a little
Oil
late
at that
on
time?
someone a little late on the draw or what?
Is Lucas Oil Stadium becoming the notoriously fast track like you always like to talk about Ohio State?
Yeah.
I remember the first combine we were out here together, and I don't even remember who the Ohio State player was. I mean, this would have been 2018, so it was a while ago. But I was like, he's not going to run the 40. We were, like, going through all the people. I was like, this guy's not going to run the 40. And you were like, you know why that is, right? And I was like, no. And you were like, Ohio State's track. You're like, I swear it's 39 yards. And
38 and a half, and it's downhill.
Jim Tressel one day built that thing and was like, hey, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give our guys a little bit of a bump here on their pro day. More big guys running right now. If you turn on the you turn on the NFL Network, but keep it on mute. Okay, keep Matt and I on. We'll continue to go over some of these numbers, both measurements for the big guys and what we're seeing here on the field. Working on hunting down a couple guests here in our next about an hour and 40 minutes or so that we have left of the show here today. So plenty to get to as we roll along live on Radio Row, inside the Indiana Convention Center. We've got measurements, we've got numbers, we've got drills happening, and Matt and I will continue to react to it all. Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mine melted, made in the USA.
Back inside the convention center, we've got some 40-yard dashes being run by the big men across the street at Lucas Oil. We are rolling along here with our ongoing combine coverage on Radio Row. Matt Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech, another one of these big guys running a 5.25. So
that's real good. You'll take that for a nose-ish type
You'll
guy.
take that. Yeah. I mean, it's not as impressive, I think, as what you got from Banks, but certainly that checks a box for him.
That's good enough.
Good enough.
Without question. I've said this many times, but I always like to say it on this day every year. Today is the best proof I have of how much better athletes the D-line are than the O-line. You watch the Combine today, and you'll see every shape and size because the edge guys are going to go to, and the O-line are way more athletic than they used to be. There's not many fat guys anymore. There used to be guys that run like 6'0", but these dudes are crazy.
It's just absolute aliens.
Yeah.
Apex predators, man, all along that defensive line.
Different predators out there of all shapes and sizes you got to block.
I thought about jumping in and asking this of Cosell, but the Germans were bombing Pearl Harbor and you were on a roll. I didn't want to get in your way. Every time you make that joke, somebody tweets you idiot, the Germans didn't bomb Pearl Harbor.
Come on,
it's
man.
an Animal House joke,
right.
all right? Everybody just settle down. Do you think part of the reason why NFL's getting heavier and heavier offenses? We talked about that.
Yeah, in terms of personnel.
Extra offensive linemen, 12 and 13 personnel. Is that because everybody has problems with their offensive line protecting these apex predator defensive linemen?
That's another reason. I think it all trends, all things that the league does, an underlying way to look at it is D-line is better than O-line, and it's a big gap, and a lot of it's just pure God-given skills, like what you were born with. I mean, there are just so many varieties you have to block. I mean, I've used this comparison a million times. It's like, okay, here comes a rhino up the middle, a cheetah off the edge, a mako shark off the edge. Here's a gorilla. Yeah, here's a velociraptor. I mean, like, they're all nasty, and they're all just a different type of nasty, and every team has them. Steelers have more than most, but every team has 2 or 3 that are rare human beings. Not that everyone in the league isn't, but they're the rarest, man. And O-linemen are great, but they're not as athletic as the people blocking them hardly ever.
Yep.
Or they're trying to block.
Matt, some wild numbers from friend of the program, Trevor Sikkema.
Yeah, I just retweeted his Banks thing.
I was gonna say, man, and this is we previewed this last week. There will be some guy whose name everyone is talking about, by the end of next week, and Caleb Banks certainly the early, I think, front runner in that conversation. The big defensive tackle out of Florida. Max Starks would say, "Go Gators." He is in the.
I'm excited to talk to Max about him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have been for a couple of months.
Maybe, maybe next week on the drive, maybe we'll just get Max on the phone.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I'm wondering.
I'm strongly considering Banks at 21, no matter what receiver's there. You get a difference maker in the middle. Back to that Cosell conversation. I mean, the teams that have, when you're throwing nickel out there.
He is going to run again, by the way.
Is he? Curious what he does. But when you're one of these teams with nickel, when most teams have a 4-man front, nickel, dime, etc., and 2 of your D tackles are impact players, man, that's hard to deal with, and quarterbacks hate it.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah, a little slower.
A little bit slower, 5-1-3, but
smooth doing it too, and yeah.
I was going to say he does not look too belabored for the size of just that massive mountain that is.
That won't hurt him, but yeah.
Caleb Banks, according to our buddy Trevor Sikkema, he is in the 98th percentile of height for defensive tackles at the combine by NFL standards. 98th percentile for height, 89th percentile for weight, 94th percentile for hand size, 94th percentile for arm size, 99th percentile for wingspan.
Wow.
Longest wingspan at the combine for a defensive tackle since 1999.
Wow, a long time. It goes a long way, man.
I'm starting to think he's not going to be there at pick 21.
No, I'm starting to think so too. I mean, there's just more and more demand for defensive tackles that are every down guys, 4-man fronts, whether they're noses or don't look at it from a 3-4 perspective. Just they line up inside the tackles somewhere and you move them all over, and they cause problems. And boy, wouldn't you like him learning from Cam Hayward?
I would love him learning from Cam Hayward, and I thought that was a possibility earlier in the week. I'm starting to
less and less.
Starting to like it less and less. Okay.
Even Trevor before the workout said, "I don't think he's gonna be there 21, guys."
Let's play one of your favorite hypothetical games to play.
Mm-hmm.
Would you trade the Steelers' 21st pick overall right now for Caleb Banks?
I think that answer is yes, because there's enough resources I can get my other things, and that's a bit of a luxury item. I mean, like if they don't add a D lineman, except for a 5th-round pick, a nose that doesn't run well, I would understand it because they'd probably be pretty flush everywhere else. So saying yes isn't as much. Well, it flat out is being enamored with a position there, a rare player, and I don't think there's many rare prospects in this draft. That's why I kind of say it too. Like, who's really rare for their position in this particular draft? It's fewer than most drafts. But boy. If I were GM, you were GM, Omar the GM, and Omar might get really mad at me for doing that because it's like, okay, now I got to be perfect. You erased a lot of my room for error of all my free agent additions, and I better hit on a 2nd-round receiver, which is harder than hitting on a 1st-round receiver, Matt. But and then week 6 when he has 2 sacks already and Cam Hayward's succession plan looks like it's in place and nobody's running the ball in the middle on you, it's like, maybe that was a good move.
Maybe that wasn't the worst idea ever. Matt, we've talked a little bit about Peter Woods. He
should test well.
I think he should test well, but he didn't measure well today.
Okay. He is more of a penetrator, lighter guy.
4th percentile arm length, 31 1/4. 10th percentile wingspan, 76 3/8. For reference, because I know that you weren't the biggest fan of his last year, Mason Graham, 32-inch arms, 78.5-inch wingspan. So
what was the comparison? I forget the numbers.
Peter Woods.
Well, what was Woods' numbers?
31 1/4 to 30.
Even shorter arms.
Even a little bit shorter in arm and wingspan than Mason Graham.
I would definitely take door number 2 as 21.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, even if he moves.
Did you get a weight on him? He might be under 300.
298.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that player fits what the Steelers want to do.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
As I'm just looking again, kind of the must be this tall to ride the ride, the Michigan thing. If you're under this Mendoza line, I'm going to pass.
Like, I know everyone on the planet had a better grade on Graham than Harmon. I personally didn't. I thought Graham was the number 4 defensive tackle no matter what team you're on. I just think he's a very overrated prospect. But I bet the Steelers rather have Harmon than Graham. Yeah, they don't want a 298-pound guy with short arms that lives off, winning in first step quickness. That's you got to be pretty special to win off first step quickness over and over. Warren Sapp, John Randall, those type of dudes, right?
Yes. Let's see here. A couple other, some other notable numbers from some notable names that we've discussed plenty this week and really probably all throughout the month of February. Sonny Styles, linebacker from Ohio State.
I heard his measurements are crazy, but I haven't heard him yet.
6'5", 244.
He's 6'5".
6'5", 244.
And he doesn't play high. Like if you're 6'5".
He played some safety last year for Ohio State.
That's where he started.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, he did.
10-inch hand, 32 7/8 arm, 80 7/8 wingspan. Man, for a linebacker, 97th percentile in height, 70th percentile in weight for a linebacker, and
there were very
played safety a couple years ago.
I mean, the linebacker, like we were talking with Greg, I mean, the linebackers are coming in the league so light, and they can all run, but they're so light. But this guy can run without being 215 pounds, like, Lewis is from Pitt.
And we actually have Cassius Howell now, his arm measurement coming in slightly less than even Reuben Baines.
I knew there was concerns.
30 1/4, where Reuben Baines was 30 7/8. That's the shortest for any edge rusher at the Combine since 1999.
Ooh. See, I said this yesterday, and I actually did a podcast up in my room when we were done recording. There is, and we said it, I talked to Rob about it today in the morning. It wouldn't be hard for a lot of these guys that are getting mocked 16, 22, Banks, McCoy, the Tennessee corner, to get up in that top 5 because these, quote, blue chip or early dudes are not Teflon. You can find real warts with these guys, starting with these 2 arm lengths with Howe and Bain. There's going to be a lot of these dudes. None of them are look like Myles Garrett or, be true prototypes.
Certainly not.
Yeah. Their hold on defensive end 1, offensive tackle 1 is more tenuous than most years.
How about Arvell Reese's measurements here, Matt?
I bet they're all right.
What's funny, though, is they are, but when you compare him to it depends on if you compare him to off-ball linebackers or edge rushers.
He's going to be light for an edge rusher.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I want to get to that with you here in a second. 6'4" and 1/8 inches in terms of height.
So about the same as his teammate Styles.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Just a little
as
bit
off the ball guys.
Little bit shorter. 241, 9.5 hand, 32.5 arm, 79.5 wingspan.
Okay. I mean, he's a little light to be a true all-the-time edge player.
So
people are going to run at him with multiple tight ends and pulling guards just until he proves otherwise.
His height, if you compare him to edge rusher measurables, okay?
Okay.
And that's where he wants to be. That's where the money's at. That's where the
Jets just made a trade today implying that maybe he's their pick.
67th percentile for height, 4th percentile for weight, 14th for arm length for edge rusher.
Yeah.
That's not great.
No, it's not great for the second pick in the draft.
Right.
I mean, this isn't a 16th pick in the draft. Or even Parsons was like 14 or 15, but he didn't play the year before, and it was an awesome draft.
Man, what are
all these guys have something wrong. But I mean, is that the wrong choice for Reese? Because if you're an off-the-ball linebacker, we're talking about him like we did Styles. Like, oh, that's awesome. You're in the 90th
but I don't know if
percentile.
I'm using the second pick on him.
The second pick on him, right.
I mean, that's what the conversation is for him, is we know he's going to be highly drafted, but the second pick, you better be an instant impact edge rusher if you're going at pick 2. And I don't know, man.
And I don't know that I can just make him an edge rusher every snap.
I don't think you can his rookie year. So he's going to need some time for the body transformation, as you can see here. But 32.5 arm. It's not short, but it's not.
Hunter
it's
just ran better this time around.
Great length
he
either.
Shaved about
is that
5.1/8? I think it's
5.18. Pardon me. I like
Hunter.
I like
him a lot.
I like Lee Hunter a lot. He's one of those guys that if it is a wide receiver in the first round, I'd be interested in him in the second if he was there and available.
The question is, would you trade up with one of your thirds?
Maybe
to get to the 40th pick.
Maybe
because I don't know that I definitely am not trading 21 for him now, but he might be gone at the end of the first round.
If it starts to get to that point of like the 40th pick, and Caleb Banks is the only defensive tackle off the board, I'd be interested in going and getting one of these guys.
Oh yeah, me too.
And again, you've got so many comp picks. You've got 3 third-round picks. You could
have free agents on board by then.
Exactly, it's a great point. You could pretty easily, I think, pull the trigger and get aggressive and go get one of those guys. Maybe though, by this time in a couple of days, we're having the same thought about some offensive linemen.
Oh, I know.
So this is still so early doors in the process.
Exactly, and I think there's going to be a lot of tackle body types that usually don't get them at 20. There's a lot of them. There's not a great one. It's kind of like the receiver group.
Let's see, more big men doing the 40-yard dash. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll go over some more.
The edge guys will be burners.
We'll go over some more numbers, absolutely. Also, Matt sent me some interesting Joey Porter Jr. stuff earlier today that we've got to get to here at some point as well.
I hear Bryant McFadden was singing his praises, from what I understand.
Rob and I had on 2-time Super Bowl champion Brian McFadden, by the way, and he was awesome. I mean, he does media for CBS Sports.
Yeah,
so
he's good.
He's good. But, man, we talked with him about the combine process as a player. We talked with him about what it was like to win the Super Bowl as a rookie when you're entire that chaos of Florida State, bowl game, Senior Bowl, combine, pro days, draft, rookie mini camp, training camp, never stops, and he ended up winning a Super Bowl. His rookie season. Him and Heath Miller, both have talked about that in the past. We talked to him about Joey Porter Jr. We talked to him about Mike Tomlin.
Cool.
A whole bunch of fun stuff. So maybe,
I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, maybe we'll actually we'll run that back sometime in the bonus hour here, depending on if we're able to nab a special guest or two.
One just rolled in that I talked to yesterday. Maybe we can grab him at some point.
Let's get to a break. We'll see if we can make that happen when we return. More conversation as we roll along here. Hour number 2, live on Radio Row. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mind melted, made in the USA.
It's The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, just across the street at Lucas Oil Stadium. We finally have live action. We got 40-yard dashes being run by the big men. This is just kind of started. I mean, there's going to be stuff going on for the next, few hours.
Next few hours, not all night.
I meant to ask you. You have been, you've obviously been doing combines and coverage and stuff for a while. You started here on SNR a few years before I did. Mm-hmm. Were you ever set up inside Lucas Oil, or have you always been here in the convention center?
Always here.
Because I know the first couple years that we did SNR stuff, we were actually in that was when it was still just like 6 teams.
Yeah, there was nothing like this.
Yes, because I remember Dale talking about that. I remember Jerry talking about that.
Well, they don't want to hear us.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But I thought there might have been like another room that was in the stadium, but like out front, like the lobby of the stadium.
Yeah, almost like the concourse, atrium area.
That might have been where we started. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because I remember Dale and Jerry talking about how easy it was to, talk about this stuff while you're, sitting right there in the lobby and it's everywhere in front of you.
I mean, they definitely don't want like radio noise or us yapping. I mean, it's remarkably quiet.
It really is, which is kind of the opposite of what these guys are used to.
Right. Usually stadiums, packed and screaming and
music bumping during warm-ups and all that stuff. Did you watch Caleb Banks move there?
No, I didn't. I was just staring off into the distance.
Okay.
I will watch all these when I get back. That's what's crazy to me is I watch the combine after I leave the combine.
Yeah, again, it's a weird conundrum of like we get here early in the week, the stuff doesn't start until right before we're about to leave. We watch more of it when we get home than we do while we're actually here. Mm-hmm. It's It's an interesting beast.
But I do like getting the numbers, and I ride home. One of you guys will be on your phone, I'm sure. Oh, you ran this, you ran that, you know.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that's where we're keeping tabs on it. And then obviously Matt and I will be back in our usual kind of time slot on Monday to continue to to break it all down.
We have a normal week of the drive next week. 5 days, normal. I
believe so. Yeah.
And then free agency's like immediately after that.
I was going to say that not next week, but the week after will be a massive week with all the free agency stuff, and it'll start Monday with the negotiation period, the legal tampering period.
And Tuesday, I think the league year starts at 4:00, right when we go on.
Tuesday or Wednesday, one of the two.
I think it's Tuesday. I think Monday is the legal tampering for 24 hours. So we're on the air those couple of days. There'll be signings left and right.
And a lot of reports of this they've agreed to this and that and
That's
different
so
things.
soon from now.
It really is. And then we'll have another week after that, and then we'll be off to the owners' meetings in Phoenix, Arizona. At least it sounds like. I believe that is the plan for us to go.
I think, yeah.
Matt, I'm a little.
3 or 4 in a row now.
That's, I think, the only. Because again, I'm about to enter my 9th year. Once this league calendar flips over, I'll be in my 9th year with the Steelers and SNR, which is wild. The one thing that I have not done is go to the owners' meetings.
It's a much different vibe because there's no coaches other than a head guy.
I guess it is technically called the league meetings.
It is the league meetings, right?
It's like one of those. It's not the legal tampering period. It's the negotiating period.
So a lot of the teams will send like their top guy in charge of business stuff, like whoever's in charge of all the important things, not football, ticket sales, and
CFO or
all
whatever,
that stuff too. You know, so there might be a head coach and a GM. Obviously, there's ownership and their families and wives and kids, and it's at a wonderful place that we don't stay at, but we visit. You know, and there's a great owners party, which is unbelievably cool. So it's a neat environment. You do hear a lot.
So we stay at a different location than the.
Oh, than the owners? Yes, we do. We stay at a nice place. They stay at one of the nicest places in the world.
Okay, well that's fine.
But we broadcast from there.
As long as we're not at the shanty motel down the street.
No, we said. I mean, every time I've gone, you stay at a nice hotel, and then you do the shows from the hotel, which is like
a resort, probably. Type
it's
thing.
uncomfortable. You know, like it's too nice. And usually they set you up outside. Like last year, they put tents for us, so it's on the premises.
Sure.
But don't get too intermingled with the clientele here. You know,
I have been to a couple of those bougie, those hoity.
They're like the nicest hotels in the world.
Those hoity-toity places. Yeah. And you're right. I almost feel uncomfortable with my skin just being there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's eye-opening though.
It's
but the party's from there, which is cool.
I've heard that the dinner is very enjoyable.
Yeah, and like the party, I went up and got a drink and looked to my left, and there was Venus and Serena.
You were telling me that
right
story.
Next to
That's
me.
hilarious.
You know, right? It's like, oh, hi, okay, sorry, get out of your way.
And have you done? I'm assuming you've done owners meetings both because they alternate between Phoenix and Orlando. Have you done both spots?
Yes, but for whatever reason, the last 2 years went back to back Florida.
Okay.
So it's Arizona this year. I think my first year was Arizona. My second and third were both in Florida.
Do they do it 2-2?
I don't know.
Instead of maybe switching every year.
I think it always used to be every
sure.
other one, and for whatever reason, they went back-to-back Florida. So
interesting.
Yeah. No, it's a good time, and you do learn a lot. I mean, it's definitely worth being there from a content perspective too, because there's a breakfast. There's an AFC breakfast where all 16 head coaches are there, where there's 16 huge round tables. And there's the Titans, there's the Patriots, the Broncos, and anyone can just sit and hover and ask them. It's not just the local media. And then the next day is the NFC one. So, I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And new rules get written. And, I mean, it's not as populated as this. It's a much different feel.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not the kind of open invitation that there is for a lot of the elements of this.
The funny story was we were – like the last radio network set up the one year. I think it was 2 years ago. And, a lot of the owners, I think, were on their way out and travel day. And
sure.
It was just Dale and I sitting there. And Coach Harbaugh, with his wife, walked by wearing his Ravens gear.
Which one? Okay,
Wearing his Ravens gear. And he kind of gave us a look, something like, he yelled like, "Go Ravens" in the background or something, which obviously got caught by the microphone.
Sure.
I'm like, hey, you want to come and sit down and join us? He's like, all right. And then we kind of panicked, and I'm like, we don't have an extra headset. And I'm like, I didn't think there's any way he was going to say yes, right. And I'm like, am I going to get in trouble? I don't know, I'm bringing the Ravens head coach on Steeler Nation Radio. I'm like, thanks, coach, but never mind. Dale and I are both like, he said yes. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
We don't have a third headset. I'm like, sit down, you two of him. He's like, I don't know if I want to talk to him. Should we bring him on Steeler Nation Radio? He's like, sure, I'll join you.
Maybe now we'll bring him on because he's not a Raven anymore.
right.
Giants head coach.
It's pretty
John
cool.
Hall.
Yeah.
Hey,
he was great about it. I mean, he was,
Coach, remember a couple years ago when you said you'd come on with us? Now that you're not with the Ravens, can we run that back?
Remember us?
Can we? You got 10 minutes of time for us here to talk about some of this.
Tell us what you really
stuff?
think of the Ravens.
That will be fun. And hey, I hear there are worse places to spend the end of winter time than Arizona. Late March when
wherever it is, it's going to be a nice place.
When you're still kind of shaking off the final weeks of winter. Did you see we're supposed to get snow Sunday night in Pittsburgh again? Sunday night, overnight,
really?
Monday.
Okay. No, I've not paid attention.
If you have Punxsutawney Phil's contact information, let me get it because I want to punch him square in the face.
It's all his fault.
Oh, it's all his fault, Matt Williamson. Let's take a look at some more of these. Caleb Banks, by the way, 32-inch vertical jump.
That's really good for someone that size.
Good Lord,
wow.
man. That's very, very
I don't think
impressive.
he's going to be there at 21.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that's off the table. Anthony Hill Jr.,
okay.
Texas linebacker.
Yeah, he could be the fourth linebacker taken.
6'2", 238 pounds, 9 5/8 hands, 32 3/8 arms, 79-inch wingspan.
All these top linebackers have height and length.
They really do.
Yeah, the Allen from Georgia will as well, I'm sure.
C.J. Allen?
Yeah.
6 foot and 6/8.
So 3/4.
Yes.
Yeah.
6 foot and 3/4. So a little not
6'006.
Yes.
Yeah.
6'006. 230 pounds. 10 1/8 inch hands, 31.5-inch arms.
Big hands.
Big hands.
Yeah.
75.5-inch wingspan.
Okay. No, he's checking the boxes too.
Let's see here. R. Mason Thomas, 6'2 1/4, 241.
I think he's going to be light for an edge rusher.
8 7/8 hands.
Ooh. Some of these edge rushers are not having good days.
They're not. The measurements aren't great. And that's another one of those things.
That matters too.
You got to get your bear paws on these guys. It's like the quarterback conversation. Does that automatically mean that you can't play? No, but that's not great either.
I almost look like tires on a race car, because that's always going to be touching, the big feet, big hands, like the things that are touching stuff at all times. If I can have a lot more surface area than you, it's a big help.
Akeem Messidor, the edge rusher 2 from Miami behind Ruben Bain, 6'3", 259, 10-inch hands, 32 1/4 arms, 78 3/4 wingspan.
I think he's happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, does that put him over his teammate? The thing with him is the age.
Yeah.
All these guys have a flag. They all have a red flag.
They really do.
Yeah.
David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech, 6'3 1/2.
Okay.
6'3 5/8, so a little over 6'3 1/2. 251, 10 1/4 hands, 33 3/4 arms.
You'll take that.
Yeah. 79 3/4 wingspan.
Okay. No, I think he's happy with that. He was over 250, like 251 or something like that.
251.
Yeah, there was some talk that he may have. So everyone knows this by now, I hope, but there are tricks too. There's a magic number these guys want to get over. There was a lot of talk that Bailey played in the 240s, the low 240s. And maybe he wants to, and maybe that's where he's best. But when he comes here, he wants to be 250 plus. 251 might be not an accident.
Like Peter Woods being under 300 is a red
all
flag
of
to
a
me
sudden
because he wanted to be over 3 bills at this.
Bailey's probably chugging water like crazy before or whatever, And then they don't run because they're a little heavier than they like to be.
Sure.
Then he trims off 10 pounds, goes pro day, and he runs. It's the oldest trick in the book here.
Yes,
but right,
absolutely.
everybody knows what you're up to.
And that's why in some of those instances, that kind of threshold of the number that you
weight?
want to see. If you see Peter Woods at 298 here, you're like, what's his real playing weight?
Yeah. Like Dale and Pursuit and those guys have told me this, Labs. James Ferrier was a great player for the Steelers, right? He was like the 5th or 6th pick in the draft by the Jets. I think his combine, he was like 240, 242, something like that. I don't think he ran. He did that trick too. But he really had a hard time keeping weight on, from what these guys have told me, that by like week 11, week 12, he'd be playing at like 210.
Oh, yeah.
Like just holding on for dear life, trying to hold, I mean, that's a long season, and he's worn down.
It's a long season. It's tough to keep on weight
and
when
you're played great no matter what.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, no, when you're as active as those guys are, for some of them it sounds funny, but it can be tough to maintain your weight.
And it's true for O-linemen too. Like you see the Fanekas of the world turn into 240, 250, like some of their bodies really want to be 260, 270, but like, I have to be 300 pounds. I mean, 8 steaks a day just to stay over 300 pounds.
I don't think Casey Hampton and Max Starks had that problem.
No, some guys have most guys have the opposite
when
problem,
they were
right?
ordering 100 wings in the strip district at their favorite spot. I don't think it's because they needed to put on weight.
Right.
2 hours in the books, but we have the bonus hour on the other side. We're going to continue with some of these numbers. We're going to talk a little Joey Porter Jr. Might have a special guest for you as well before we get up out of here. Our final hour of coverage for the day when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mine melted, made in the USA.
Bonus hour of the drive here, our final hour on this Thursday, our final hour of full wall-to-wall, 9 to 5, Dolly Parton Combine coverage.
Working 9 to 5, dude.
As tomorrow will be 9 to 2. It's a Friday.
Yeah.
We got a long
Gotta
drive
get home, man.
We got a long drive home, and everything is. I mean, even right now on Radio Row, it's quiet.
Because a lot of people are over at Lucas Oil, but
there,
still,
but
people
that's going
have,
to continue.
It's gotten quieter, yeah.
It will be busy here in the mornings because that's when the podium.
I said
stuff
the podiums
is
will be
with
hot,
players,
right? Yeah.
Because those are, for those who are unfamiliar, those happen at like from 8 a.m. to like 10:30, I think, in the morning.
I don't know the times,
So
but that's a morning thing.
It starts at 8 a.m. and then there's the first session and then I think the second session type thing. But yeah, that's all wrapped up before lunchtime. And to give these guys the afternoon
they get a little bit of time to relax,
exactly,
get ready to do all the stuff they're doing now,
and meetings and any other things.
What positions tomorrow?
Have to get to. If you give me 1 second here,
yeah,
I can
I
find
forget
it
off the top
for
of my
you.
head.
Tomorrow, let's see, I got it right here. On the field tomorrow will be defensive backs and tight ends.
Okay.
And on the podium tomorrow will be running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers.
Which means they'll be on the field the next day.
Which means they will be on the field Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, which means they're doing medical as we speak.
It's
a 3-day endeavor, basically,
yes.
for all these guys. Yeah.
Yes. I do the morning hour from 9 to 10 with Pursuta before you guys slide in. And the last couple of days I've just poked over there to see the madness.
Yeah, I did, but when I came in, I was a little early too, and I hadn't been over there yet until this morning.
And Caleb Downs, obviously, today is not surprising anybody, I'm sure, had the biggest. Today was defensive backs and tight ends at the podium.
At the podium.
Caleb Downs had, but I mean, there's a couple other guys. Jamar McCoy had a big,
Yeah, but he would be the top. Top guy.
I have a feeling tomorrow, Matt, there'll be quite a crowd around Fernando Mendoza's podium.
Oh yeah. Love will get attention, but I would think. Do you think Mendoza probably is the highest attention of everybody?
Yes.
He's a quarterback. He's gonna be the first pick.
So my.
I mean, even if you're the Steelers or Eagles or whatever, and know that you're not going to take him.
Exactly right.
You're still interested in what he's doing. He's also an interesting interview.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
he's not one of these guys that's just going to give you canned cookie cutter answers.
No.
Like, he's talkative. He's a little quirky.
He's definitely quirky.
Yeah, people are going to want to hear what he has to say and try and get their questions in and all that. I think. So I was thinking when I was walking around over there earlier, I was like, big group for Caleb Downs. I was like, wow, I bet you it's going to be massive for Mendoza. I think it was my second combine was when Kyler Murray was drafted first overall.
Ooh. All about the weigh-ins and the height. I will
never forget, Matt, his podium of it.
Was it mobbed?
They couldn't put anybody at the podiums on either side of him because there were so many people.
Really?
To paint the picture for everybody, it's a huge open room.
Oh yeah.
And there's probably a dozen podiums.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And
the big networks are all over there
Yes.
too. Like if you're watching NFL Network or ESPN, folks, they're in that area.
That's where they have their sets built over there.
And they took a little more of our space this year, by the way.
I know. What a bunch of
jerks. Starting to edge us out a little bit.
What a bunch of jerks,
Yeah.
you know? The Steelers video crew's taking our space. The NFL's taking our space.
It's getting crowded. We got to fight for our right.
We're so to party.
Yeah.
We're so popular here.
Box
man.
them out.
I tell you what. But I remember
Still
whatever.
no shrimp too, by the way. That's a shrimp guy coming around.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yep.
Listen, Matt Taylor's still over there. We might have to one last time.
Yeah, see what you can do.
Throw a Hail Mary at him. Kyler Murray. His podium was absolutely bonkers, and I think part of it was at the time there was still some whispers, is he interested in playing baseball?
Oh, yeah,
and you know what I mean?
I mean, the height thing we'd have known by then.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that some of that people wanted to talk to him about.
Mm-hmm.
Just the number one overall quarterback always has a million people. But that Kyler Murray one, I mean, it had to be 100 people
fair
deep.
or not, he's always been asked or questioned a little bit of his love for the game and
that kind of
is he
stuff
gonna be
too.
the first guy in, last guy out type of thing, and does he play video games and all that stuff too? So maybe there were those type of questions. But no, you're right. The baseball thing was humongous. Wasn't he like the 7th pick overall by the A's?
He was pretty
early first.
He was pretty high, yeah. Matt, I wanted just
How
to
ticked would you be if you're the A's? I choose my first. I use the 7th overall pick.
baseball's way different.
I
in
know
that
it's way
regard,
different,
though.
but right. That's like the Bo Jackson thing. Like the Bucks used the first overall pick in the draft, and he never played for them.
Yep.
It's
I
like
think
taking Mendoza right now, and he never plays for you.
I think that would happen a little bit more often than you would think.
Yeah.
Our producer back at the ranch, Nathan, I'm sure is like, yes, guys, that happens all the time because he's a big baseball guy.
That your first round pick never plays for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a lot of avenues they could go.
and a lot of times they're 18 years old.
Does that happen in hockey too? I mean,
Yes.
they could go to college.
Yes, but that's how it works. So I don't. And again, I'm not sure exactly as much with baseball of the timelines and things like that. But in hockey, after you get drafted, I believe they have your rights for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So if you stay,
which would be a normal.
If you stay in college, if you
cycle.
stay in college longer than that, then you can become a free agent.
And they're getting paid in college just like football too.
I mean, obviously the scale of the NIL is much lower.
Yeah.
But like that's how Penn State got Gavin McKenna, who's going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Because they got money.
Because they got money. And doesn't that just make the world go round?
Yeah, it's important.
Matt, I did want to get to a couple of these guys that we've spent a lot of time in the past month discussing and their measurement numbers. Keldrick Falk. He's going
to look the part.
He's one of those guys that maybe like Shamir Stewart last year.
Yep.
It's got to translate to the
He
field.
just looks like a Bengal to me.
But he's you can see the stripes on his helmet
Yep.
already. 6'5" and 7/8.
Okay, so he's
almost,
just under 6'6".
Almost 6'6", 276, 9 and 7/8.
276 is big for a defensive end.
For
right
a defensive
nowadays,
end edge guy. 9 and 7/8 hands, 34 and 3/8 arms, 82 and a quarter wingspan. Good Lord.
Wow. Yeah, he's a built in a lab type.
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Caden McDonald.
Real quick, I've been meaning to bring this up the last couple of weeks. So the average edge player in today's NFL is 10 pounds lighter than he was 10 years ago.
Okay.
I mean,
that doesn't shock me.
No. Like the guys Max played against, I bet were 15 pounds heavier on average. Like there used to be like Reggie White. Those guys don't exist anymore. But still, we were talking about some of these dudes that were like 240. You better be able to stop Derrick Henry coming right at you with Ricard, leading the way.
Caden McDonald, Ohio State defensive tackle, 6'2" and 1/8, 326, 9 3/4 hands, 32 and 9 3/4 hands, 32 and a quarter arms, 78 and 1/8 wingspan.
I see no problem with any of those for a nose. I mean, that's not great arm length, but this is kind of talking on both sides of my mouth. There's times when you're like in such tight quarters with you have real long arms from getting it to the ground up to where you need to be. It's still a longer distance. The fulcrum, you know what I mean? Like the levers are longer. sometimes it's not so terrible to have the short, compact, powerful nose tackle. Like, I don't think Casey Hampton had long arms.
Sure.
I don't think Will Ford had long arms,
But they had the leverage and the get off. And,
yeah,
and
nobody's
the
blowing
size
them back
yes.
either, just if they get their hands on them a little quicker, too.
And Lee Hunter, who we just talked about, him running his 40 a few minutes ago, 6'3" and a half, 318, 9 1/4 hands, 33 1/4 arms, 80 3/4 wingspan.
Great. No red flags there at all.
He
intrigues me a lot.
He really does intrigue me. I
He's
obviously
probably my second favorite D tackle.
behind Banks.
Yeah. For the Steelers.
He might be getting there for me. Man, with some of the measurements for today, I think I'm out on Peter Woods.
Yeah, especially for the Steelers.
Especially as
I don't know what he does here.
Black and gold glasses here on Steelers Nation Radio.
Like a guy like that might be a really good option on 3rd and 8 as an interior pass rusher. But what's he do for me on 1st and 10? You know what I mean? Like I don't think he works.
Matt, in a few minutes, we are going to hear a conversation that myself and Rob King had with former Steelers defensive back Bryant McFadden.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Of course, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He does media and podcasts and shows for CBS Sports now, so he's well-spoken, knows his stuff. And one of the things that we talked about with him was Joey Porter Jr., of course. And you sent me today Pro Football Focus's kind of write-up on the season that he had.
Yeah, and what it was they just happened to put an article out, the 4 best corners of 2025, and I think Stingley was on there.
Witherspoon.
I think Witherspoon was on there, and I think Surtain was on there, and so was Porter. And I just thought the numbers that they have, and some of them are their grades. And side note, I urge people to check it out. But we started our Trevor Sikkema conversation. Rob was just asking him, how does Pro Football Focus get their grades? And it's a lot more diverse and a lot more cross-checking than I originally thought. I like the process better after hearing what Trevor said than what I had guessed before.
Interesting. Maybe that's one. Maybe tomorrow we might.
But it's not gospel to me.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I still think
because we love Trevor. Everybody loves Trevor, and I mean, I understand. I don't want to sound like a spurned lover here, but you guys had him on in the mornings outside of the drive parameters. Maybe tomorrow we'll have to hear the conversation
You'll like
with Trevor,
it. Yeah,
so
it's
we
really
can
good.
So we can make.
We
sure
didn't talk any barbecue.
Make sure it's in the drive. I know you guys didn't talk any barbecue with Tampa Bay Trevor, who I know Florida isn't necessarily associated with barbecue like some of the other states, but he
lives in North Carolina now.
He lives in North Carolina. Listen, he knows his stuff. Him and I have talked smokers many a times in years past. Here's what Pro Football Focus had to say about JPJ. Despite suffering an early season soft tissue injury, which often results in reoccurrences, Porter produced elite per-play coverage metrics in his 3rd professional season. His 70.2 PFF defensive grade ranked 21st among 71 NFL cornerbacks with at least 600 defensive snaps.
And I'm pretty sure Pierre's was second, just in their grade.
Yes. Porter rarely allows the requisite separation for open targets to be thrown into his primary coverage. He forces incompletions and limits yardage at an entry level. Among 63 NFL cornerbacks with at least 115 third down coverage snaps.
Money.
Porter's qualifying 35.3% forced incompletion rate ranked 2nd.
And I'm assuming forced incompletion is something you did, not like the quarterback
Dropped the ball or the
quarterback threw it over their head or whatever, right?
Yes. His 5 qualifying receptions allowed tied for the 3rd fewest in the league on 3rd downs. Porter,
pretty awesome.
Porter, 25 years old, is among the NFL's 4 best perimeter cornerbacks.
Yeah. I mean, I can't fight him on any of that stuff. And we've talked about Steelers' allocation of money and cap space. I think he's your first guy you extend in terms of –
Same.
Yeah. I love Herbig. I'm interested in Washington. There's a lot of guys that age I want to keep, but I think you lock him up first.
If you ask me the in-house priorities, forget free agency. And
yeah.
Just
guys are on the roster.
In-house priorities, he's number one.
He's number one.
This
Yeah. I agree.
And I'm sure they're looking at the same. We know the Steelers do not let their guys get away when they have success. But I think especially a guy like him, just the family history, being a local kid.
Doesn't hurt.
Certainly doesn't hurt.
But if he wasn't good at football,
if he wasn't good at football, that stuff wouldn't matter. But the Steelers do like to take care of their own in that regard, and I imagine it will. Who knows? Maybe it ends up being one of those that doesn't get officially announced until training camp. And
there's no hurry. You got other things to do.
As you've laid out many times, it's a great kind of morale booster for the locker room of someday in mid-August when you've been hitting each other for 2 weeks and it's hot and. Hey, here comes T.J. Watt with a new contract. Or
I could be
Pat
that guy.
Fryermuth
Yeah.
And all of his
Congrats.
teammates go crazy and jump up and down and make him go to Sharky's and buy a bunch of wings and burgers for the team that evening because you just got
a couple more bucks in your wallet.
Just got a couple more bucks in your wallet. Go ahead. And I still remember that what was it, 22 or 23, whenever it was that T.J. signed his, or was that 2 years ago?
When he was holding in, and then we knew it was going to be done.
Yeah, and he signed his extension. That night, he comes into Sharky's and picks up, looked like he was leaving Costco before an apocalyptic snowstorm. You know what I mean? You know how everybody looks when they're going out of Costco.
And they made him pick it up.
When we're about to get a foot of snow. He needed 7 boxes, and the whole staff there at Sharky's had to help him carry it out to his car. He was taking so much food back to campus for the boys. That was pretty funny. Matt, I want to hear. I want to play our conversation with Bryant,
I'm really excited
Bryant McFadden when we return. A lot on this draft process, Mike Tomlin in the new era for the Steelers, and, of course, his thoughts on Joey Porter Jr. We'll hear what the 2-time Super Bowl champion, former Pittsburgh Steeler, had to say when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's our bonus hour of Combine coverage here, live on Radio Row inside the Indiana Convention Center. Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mine melted, made in the USA.
So today on the drive, we were supposed to talk to Bryant McFadden, 2-time Steelers Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen.
And basically what happened was his schedule got changed, and he was here much earlier than he thought.
They knocked it out.
And Rob and I were on air, and he was like, hey, would you guys mind if we did our appearance now instead of an hour from now? I can kind of get to my next thing, whatever. And so,
people get busy around here.
And so we knocked it out. I mean, that's kind of what happened with Trevor Sikkema, right? We were thinking we were going to have him on with us, but then he went on with you earlier. People get busy around here. It's a life.
Sometimes you got to take the bird in the hand when you can, get him on here.
Exactly right. But I want to make sure, I'm selfish about I understand this has been our Combine coverage, 8 hours every day, but I'm selfish about our drive-specific listeners, okay?
Make sure they get the good stuff.
I love everybody that's listening on this network, but particularly those of you that are our diehard drive listeners, I want to make sure you get the good stuff. I want to make sure you get to hear it all. And Matt,
and maybe tomorrow too, we'll give you some of the greatest hits as well.
We need to play Sikkema tomorrow because that hasn't been
good Cosell stuff too. That from the first time.
That's what we tend to do on Fridays is get the last of our live guests, maybe play a little greatest hits.
Sum things up.
You're going to see Journey in Pittsburgh before too much
I think
longer.
So, yeah,
That'll be a greatest
Monday.
hits show.
Oh, it better be. Yeah.
We're gonna have a greatest hits show tomorrow, but certainly a great conversation today with Bryant McFadden on a lot of different topics: the Combine, the Steelers' head coaching change, Joey Porter Jr. Here is what the 2-time Super Bowl champion defensive back had to say to Rob King and I earlier.
And we are delighted to be joined as we welcome you back to Indianapolis by Bryant McFadden, former Steelers, CBS Network as well. Bryant, thanks very much. How's your experience been thus far at the Combine?
Man, it's been great. Quick disclaimer about me and the Combine. This is my first time being here since I was a prospect. Because usually I'm kind of working from home with CBS during this week. And, being back here around this atmosphere, you kind of bring back, some nice memories.
What was it like for you? What is the Combine experience like for a player?
It's a lot. It's a lot to process. First and foremost, you're overly thankful to be here because, of course, invite only. But there's a lot you have to intake, you know what I mean, in terms of the meetings and the interview process, the questions that you're being asked, making sure you give your best every opportunity you have in terms of, talking to whoever it is you're talking to. And then, of course, performing the athletic side of things with the drills and things that you have been preparing for months for this moment. But it's a I don't want to say it's a fatiguing process, but it is a long process, as it is for us in the media. Think about how you feel now compared to when you first got here Monday.
Yep.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're a little tired.
Yes.
And we're not going through the same thing these prospects are going through. So it is a lot, but it's all worth it. All worth it.
2005 was your rookie year, correct?
Yes, sir.
So Super Bowl 40 was your rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
What was that grind like? Because you mentioned the entire, you finished your career at Florida State, probably played in a bowl game or something, I would imagine. And then did you play in a Senior Bowl?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Then the Combine, Pro Days. You get drafted, you're in a new city, rookie minicamp, training camp. It never stops, and you go all the way and you win a Super Bowl. Did you hit that proverbial wall at any point that season?
Man, I did. And to your point, I had a long season, played in the bowl game for Florida State, with Florida State, and then instantly I got a few days off, and I started to get in my pre-draft process, trying to get my body as healthy as possible to be able to go to Mobile to be able to perform. And then you do Mobile, which is kind of a small mini combine because of the meetings and the interview process that you embark in on, along with practicing and getting ready for the game. And you did that, and then you got to go right back to maybe relaxing for a few days because your body is a little banged up from Mobile, to get right back into the pre-draft training, and then the draft. And then once the draft hits, you off and running. OTAs, mini camps, and then from there it happens overnight where you're in training camp. So, yeah, it was a long season for me, but I enjoyed every minute of it. And I can tell you this much, when I got drafted to Pittsburgh, in that process for us to do what we were able to do, get to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, I literally thought that was the thing every year. I'm like, okay, this is what we do every year, because I had no idea.
That's what you did at Florida State.
Yeah. And also, too, because it happened my rookie year,
Right.
I didn't know how hard it was
Right.
for you to get into the playoffs. I didn't know how hard it was for you to be good enough to play in a Super Bowl. That was my only experience, and that's all I knew. So next year, the following year in 2006, I'm like, well, we'll do it again, do it all over again. So I started having conversations with other guys that play for other teams, older guys, and they were telling me, man, you need to be thankful because you have guys that play 15, 16-plus years or whatever the case may be, never sniff a Super Bowl, but you were able to do so in your rookie year. So that's the reality of it.
So I'd like to ask you about this process for you and then winding up being drafted by the Steelers, because, people don't – I don't think a lot of fans don't stop to realize that these players, as a player here, it's not like people are showing up and being like, who's this Bryant McFadden guy? No, they've been scouting you since your freshman year, right?
Yes, sir.
They've had information on you. Now Max tells the story that Bill Cowher came to his weigh-in on his pro day. That was the only time he saw him. He looked up, Bill Cowher was gone, and he was shocked when he got drafted by the Steelers. What was your interaction like with the Steelers, and did you know you were on their radar? Were you running into the same scouts, that kind of thing?
My interaction with the Steelers, I didn't have any interaction that I recall during the Senior Bowl, right? But I was hearing my name was being brought up in the building from my former Florida State teammate and Chris Hope, who was a part of the Steelers at the time.
Right.
And I guess they were asking him questions about me because they knew we played together. But then when I came to Indy, I had a formal interview with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I remember like it was yesterday. I walked into the hotel room, and the first person I saw and I recognized was Mean Joe Green. I'm like, oh, freak, that's Joe Green.
Wow.
I'm like, why is he here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't know his status with the team at the time. And then, of course, Bill Cowher, Kevin Colbert. And it was so many people in the room. Like, it was like, wow. And then after that, it was like, mute, nothing from Pittsburgh. I didn't have a phone call. I didn't have a visit to Pittsburgh. I didn't have nothing. So everything kind of went silent. So I kind of felt like I might not be on the radar. But oddly enough, the team that you rarely hear from is the team that usually drafts you. If you listen to so many guys, like you said with Max Starks, you saw Cowher at weigh-in and he left.
Right.
You don't even know if you actually watched Max perform.
That's right.
But guess what? Pittsburgh drafted him. So I don't know if that was like a Pittsburgh thing.
They don't want to tip their hand or whatever.
Show you we're not really interested, but we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think we'd be remiss. We, of course, you were pretty fortunate, won 2 Super Bowls with the Steelers, one with Bill Cowher, one with Mike Tomlin. Just your thoughts, 19 years, end of an era for Coach T. I didn't think I'd ever see the day. I just thought Mike Tomlin would be the head coach of the Steelers for the rest of my life. Everything eventually comes to an end, right? Yeah. But 19 years, and I just feel like everybody who played for Mike Tomlin has such a level of respect for him, obviously as a football coach, but as a man and a human being.
Yeah, to your point, it felt like he would continue. It felt like for sure at least get a 20th season. I mean, it surprised everyone. When that news broke, it was like, wow, what? Mm-hmm. Are you serious? And that was the first thought for most of us. Like, what?
I had to check the accounts on Twitter like 7 times to make sure they weren't fake parody accounts. Like, these are the real people reporting this,
Are you
right?
serious? And now, granted, the season didn't end like we all wanted it to end, but it was still a successful season. You won a division, playoff game, whatever the case may be. But, yes, it's a surreal moment. And I asked Omar, this was the first question I asked him when I talked with him on Tuesday, how weird is it for you to be here without Mike Tomlin? You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, it's different. 19 years of doing the same thing, you know, building that rapport and coming to these type of events with him, you know, being involved to some degree. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's going to take some time to get used to it. I think every day you're kind of getting closer to understanding this is the new norm. But to your point, yeah, it's like, okay, not yet. He's not walking away yet, but he had to do what was best for him. And he checked off the boxes. Won a championship, you know, lived up to the billing for a storied franchise, you know, and created a Hall of Fame coaching career for him in Pittsburgh.
You know, there are trends that happen in the NFL. You know, everybody wants the big box safety now that can move around. Kyle Hamilton, Eamon Warriors, all that stuff. But one of the things that Mike Tomlin said a couple of years ago, and I thought it was really interesting, is he said that more than at any time in the NFL, cornerbacks coming out of college are more ready. And his explanation for that was that kids are – and that was always a position. Draft the corner. Hey, we'll see you starting in a couple of years. It's going to be – it just takes – it's way too involved. But he said all these kids now doing 7-on-7 drills all summer long, and then you couple that with all the spread offenses and quarterbacks throwing the ball 50 times a game in college. So as a corner, you're getting 50 coverage reps a game. Do you think that's the case, that it's a little easier for corners to come out now and make more of an immediate impact?
I wouldn't say that it's easier, but I think they're more equipped to handle that type of workload because of the passing strategies that they face in college football. You know, up-tempo, you're seeing more passes than runs. So, you know, you have to be able to cover, and through repetition you get more comfortable, you feel more better in your skill set. Now the cons to that is most cornerbacks coming to the National Football League, you know, not consistent in tackling.
Exactly. I knew you were going there.
That's the con,
exactly.
You know what I mean? So the pro is they're ready for the volume of passes, the volume of reps they're seeing from these wide receivers, the intensity in which it happens for 4 quarters. But then the con is you don't really tackle a lot because a lot of these kids are not tackling a lot in practice. So now when you get to the National Football League and you might play against an offense that can adjust to whatever you do well or not well, now they make corners tackle. And what happens when you don't? You know, you will lose ball games. When you look at offenses now, offenses like San Francisco, you know, the Rams with Sean McVay, when that wide receiver come down to crack that end man or either that safety, and now they force the corner to be in space to make that tackle one-on-one with whoever the running back is, if you can't do it, you're going to see the same thing over and over and over and over. Yep. Or if you know an offense say, you know what, this guy is not even a willing participant in the running game. He just doesn't really want to tackle. So guess what we're going to do? A quick stop route, get out to our wide receiver. Wide receiver, he really don't want to tackle you. Give him a move, get some yak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those are the good and the bad with this new regimen in college football, the 707 landscape. It is good, you know, because of the repetition in terms of passes, but you kind of forget about the main element, tackling.
You know, I wanted to follow up on that because Tunch Ilkin used to talk about late in games for Jerome Bettis, where he said the guy's taking a convenient angle to miss. I'm sorry, coach. I just,
yeah.
You know, 'cause they didn't want to hit him after a while, you know. As you look around the NFL now, and obviously you were a willing tackler, But it's tough if you're giving up pounds. If you're giving up 35 pounds and you got to make 15 tackles, after a while that wears on you. Are there guys out there, whether it's Kenneth Walker or Derrick Henry or somebody else, or maybe he was a quicker guy, a guy you wouldn't necessarily relish having to tackle 15 times a game?
Well, hopefully as a corner you shouldn't be making 15 tackles.
Right, no. That's you got problems.
The D lineman and the linebacker should definitely feel some type of way if that's the case. But for me, I go back to when I played Fred Taylor. That was a person that you like, oh, I don't want to be the first one running up on him, because he had power to run you over. He had moves to make you miss. He had the speed to run around you. And you didn't know exactly which one you were going to get based on his attitude. So for us, it was like, okay. But we knew what we had to do. And the thing about our defense when I was there, it was weird because when I got drafted to Pittsburgh, one of the first questions that was asked of me was, will he tackle? It wasn't about will he cover. That's what they wanted to know. Bro, will you tackle? Will you thud? Like, yeah. What about covering?
I play football, right?
Yeah, forget that. We know about covering, but for us here, it's about tackling. Because when you're a great tackling defense, you will win ball games. Prime example, Seattle. The praise we gave their defense. We talked about how violent they was, but they rarely missed tackles. Look at the secondary.
Yeah, for sure.
We talk about guys that played like they were mad.
Yep.
Like every day they just had something that pissed them off.
Yeah.
They flew around. When you watch Seattle play, it felt like they had 15 guys on the field instead of 11.
Yes, it did.
They swarmed. The DBs played like big guys. Devon Witherspoon, to your point, might be 188, but he will run into you. It doesn't matter how big you are. It's a mentality.
Houston was that way too.
Facts.
Yep.
Those guys, like Petrie and those guys, like violent.
You saw them in person in wild card game.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the thing.
Really
when you
impressed.
tackle and you play with that type of violence, as fans, when your team play against them, you like, oh, shoot.
Right.
Like, you better protect yourself.
Yeah.
So think about what those offenses feel when they played against Houston, when they played against Seattle. Yeah, because think about what you thought of when we knew the playoff seeding, who we were playing. Houston. First thing you said was their defense.
Yeah, that's right. Can we win this game 3-2?
Yeah.
Right,
And
yeah.
Can we? Because we knew their defense was going to be stout and they're going to hit you in the mouth. And that's how we played. We wanted to impose our will on you physically for 4 quarters. We wanted to beat you up, kick you, whatever. Like, you cannot play football soft, especially the defensive side. And I know I might be smaller than you, but it's my job to run into you anyway.
Right.
For 4 quarters. Because when I do that, I know the cavalry is coming.
Right.
And that's how you earn respect. Like,
Right.
yo, man, I got a little man just running in this big man. We know you're not supposed to win that battle, but just the willingness to do it, that sets the morale for the entire team. So for Seattle, storied year, but their defense is what embodied their physical, violent nature that we saw. And then it transitioned to the offensive side with Kenneth Walker running through people freaking chests.
He's a hard runner. That guy's a hard runner, man. He runs hard.
But tell me this, what hard running back runs against opposing defenses that's a part of a soft defense?
Right. That's right. And by the way, your
same
points,
thing with Marshawn Lynch with the Legion of Boom.
Yeah. If you're a tough running back, 9 times out of 10 you got a tough defense.
Right. And by the way, I think I like the way you flipped that too, because you always talk. A lot of us talk in terms of who do you not want to tackle. Well, who do you not want to run against? Because as a running back, you're feeling 15, 18 hits too. You might be out there doing a little more dancing than normal as opposed to lowering your head as well.
Think about it. You think about it.
Right.
Think about the wide receivers when you're watching tape and you see these guys trying to take your head off. Now you're going to be a bit hesitant when you run across the middle.
Absolutely right.
You know what I mean? So it plays in every area, man. And football is a violent sport. I understand the safety precautions and things like that. But football is a violent sport. That's why we love it, because we love seeing people collide into each other. But when you do it because you're forced to do it, you won't get the same impact when you do it because you want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Good point.
This has been a lot of fun, but last thing, we got to ask you about Joey Porter Jr. I mean, he, particularly the back half of the season, really felt like it was all starting to come together for him. Man, I think he's primed to be one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League.
It's time to get paid like one. Let's keep it real. I saw a stat that had Joey Porter Jr. and Christian Gonzalez next next to each other, and Gonzo is a hell of a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
All of us would agree.
Yes.
Right,
Had
no
a
doubt.
great season, great in the Super Bowl. Even though they lost, he played well.
He was one of the best players on the field.
You realize Joey Porter had better numbers than Gonzo in terms of coverage percentage, yards given up, the whole nine. But he doesn't get talked about like Gonzo for whatever reason. I don't know.
And he's got the penalties out of
Lack
his
of
game.
lack of
Yes.
interceptions, I think.
He
might
had
be it.
more than Gonzo. And stat check me on this. I think he had more than Gonzo. I think he touched more passes, more footballs than Gonzo did in 2025. Because that's the first thing most people say, well, he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't
Right.
touch enough footballs. Look, I'm waiting on that stat too, by the way, because I think he had more interceptions. He definitely had more PBUs if you were to combine both stats.
Yeah.
Well, we were having a discussion just breaking down the Steelers roster. Okay, Joey Porter's your one. Where are you happy with your roster? Joey Porter's my top corner. I'm happy with that. I'll figure out 2 and 3 and all that. I'm happy with him as my one, which is one of the hardest things to get in football. Quarterback we know, left tackle, but boy, can you get that? The edge rusher. Can you have that number one corner? So valuable.
Yeah, and he's shown the ability to be that number one guy. And when you're in a division where you've seen Jamar Chase and T. Higgins twice, you better make sure you got somebody who can cover.
That's right. That's right.
With their extensions, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So I really hope he gets paid. And, great point about cleaning up his style of play because he was known to be a bit handsy. Mm-hmm. He got better this season. He was a competitor. He competed, man, and he played the game the right way. And he's deserving of seeing that new deal. And if you're Pittsburgh, he is your CB1.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yep.
I want to ask you about a rule.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a rule that I'm not in favor of. It is the defenseless receiver rule for defensive backs. I'm all in favor of not targeting the head, right? So I understand all those rules. Let's try to keep players as safe as possible, right? But when we what has he got? Has he got the numbers right there?
We got the numbers right here. One more interception for Peasy Jr.
Okay.
4 more PBUs, 1 more sack, and then, as you mentioned, all the coverage numbers of less touchdowns
What are we
allowed,
talking
less
about?
yards allowed.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Gonzo
It's all right with
deserving
me.
got the
Yeah.
praise.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Joey's not getting the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking
he will.
about?
He'll start to.
He better.
Yeah, he'll start to.
So let it be known.
So
Let's
I'm
go.
all for player safety.
Yep.
All for not targeting the head. I think that the defenseless player thing, you talk about the toughness of the game. Does that reduce a little bit of that toughness if a receiver knows he can go over the middle and not get walloped because the quarterback put him in a bad position with a throw up high? My feeling on that is this. If you don't want to have a defenseless receiver, then don't throw him the ball there.
Yeah.
Does it take any of that toughness that like a Hines Ward, the part of his value was he was so tough. He was going to go over the middle fearlessly and make a catch that somebody else might do this on. Well, you don't have to do this anymore because they can't hit you out there.
And you know what? Great about toughness. But I think when receivers know they have that gray area where they're protected, you don't have to really be tough to go out and extend yourself because,
Right.
you're not supposed to get hit. So now it kind of makes defenders a bit hesitant. You know what I mean? Because there's a gray area where you don't want to get that penalty, and with that personal foul comes a fine.
Mm-hmm.
And those 15 yards could actually change the momentum of a game
Yes.
dramatically. We've seen penalties flip games where teams lose because of the penalty. And also, too, for us, it's a thin line in being hesitant or playing fast to create separation from the man in the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was at Florida State, my defensive coordinator used to tell us all the time, it's your job to separate the man from the ball
Right.
when he's trying to catch it at the point of attack.
Right.
So if I see you come across the middle and I know if I hit you as soon as the ball get there, there's a potential chance of a flag because you were defenseless. But if I wait and let you catch the ball, I cannot create an incompletion.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't.
Right.
That's the first down.
Yep.
You're in extended downs now. But if I can hit you simultaneously when you get there, I create an incompletion. Now it could be 4th down. You're
Right.
punting the football. That could be the deciding factor in us winning or losing the ball game.
Yeah,
And
like I said, I'm all for player safety. That's one of the violent parts of the game that I think you just have to live with as part of the game.
But
it's been legislated out, and they want to keep guys healthy.
And
I understand that, and I'm for guys being healthy.
I understand that as well, but it's hard for us as defenders because you can't sit here and try to be hesitant when you 6'3", running 4 threes and running as fast as you can.
And by the way, now that's put you in a bad position.
No question.
Now you've got to slow down, and you might get run over.
No question.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So when you do get a chance in a fair situation to put that helmet on them, do it.
Right.
Play like Seattle play.
Bryant, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Brian McFadden.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Has been our guest. Really enjoyed it.
Play like Seattle plays. I mean,
yeah, it's a good way to end it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You think that Seattle defense probably reminds him a little bit of some of the units he played with here, here in Pittsburgh.
No
Nasty,
doubt.
physical,
The attitude.
fly around.
And right. I mean, the thing, like I listen to a lot of podcasts, as people know, and we've mentioned Greg Cosell a few times, and a couple of these analysts, and Nate Tice, who I'm hoping to get on tomorrow, that look at the whole league. And when you watch that Seattle defense, it feels like they often say, it looks like there's 12 guys out there.
He said, I don't know if you heard that part, but earlier he said they play like there's 15 guys on the defense on the field at all times.
And they rotate like 16 or 17 guys in, and they all are eager to, chomping at the bit,
Great stuff. We're going to take our last break here. We will put a bow on the day's proceedings when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, it's The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is continuing coverage of the 2026 NFL Combine, live from Indianapolis on the Steelers Audio Network. Presented by First National Bank. Can your bank do that? Welcome to FNB. Let's get started. Member FDIC. Iron Workers Local Union number 3. We don't go to the office, we build it. Schneider Downs. Discover the value of big thinking with a personal focus at schneiderdowns.com. Your neighborhood Ford store. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by U.S. Steel. Mined, melted, made in the USA.
It is our final segment here of the bonus hour on The Drive on this Thursday. Our what will be final time in this hour here on Radio Row, as we will still have programming tomorrow, but just 9 to 2, a little shortened edition, so we can hopefully all get home before too late on Friday night. Matt,
been a good week so far.
It has been a good week.
Yeah.
We've had some great guests. We've had a lot of fun, but it's funny. It starts so fast, and we've mentioned this a bunch of times, but it starts so fast, and then it kind of quickly, abruptly.
If you look around, there's not many
up.
people in this room right now.
Well, so it's funny, our producer Nathan back at the ranch. A big shout out to Justin and Nathan, who have been
they've been doing a lot of work too.
Doing a lot of work on the other side of things for us back in Pittsburgh at our studios. Earlier this afternoon, they were both like, the connection isn't terrible, but it's like, there's times it drops for a quick second, or gets a little wonky. And we were in that break, and Nathan was like, the past hour, the connection's been perfect. And I'm like, well, that's because there's only like a dozen people left in here using the internet right now.
TV will tell you, I think there was a year where it went out.
Last year.
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
So
and these teams pay a fair amount of money for this internet connection.
Yes, they do. And people were not happy.
No, like the place went bonkers.
So as you know, like, it's a group effort. You and Pursuta do some stuff. Dale knew how to use one of these, these machines that we use here.
I actually touched it for the first time today, and then I was like, "Oh, don't touch it. Give them the other headset."
My buddies in our group chat must have been listening because they were cracking up about that.
Okay.
They were like, Williamson saying, "What am I doing? I don't touch this thing. This isn't my job."
Yeah, I forget who we got as
they were
a
like,
surprise
Wes, why
guest.
do you have Matt producing the show? What's the matter with you? Like, all my boys are texting me.
And finally, I'm like, "Oh, just use this headset," and threw it at him. Right? I think it was Trevor. He's like, "I can't hear you guys." I'm like, "Oh no, I gotta touch this thing."
But last year, the internet went out for like an hour, and so it goes out, and I'm scrambling because I think it's a problem with
it could be our
with
connection.
us. Like, I think it's us.
Right.
So I'm like, we go to break, we do the whole reset, reboot, still can't get online. I'm like stressing out. I think it was Brian producing for us back at the ranch then, and I like call him, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, give me a minute, I'm going to try. And I tried to run it through my laptop and do it wirelessly instead of the hardline connection.
Probably didn't work.
Still wasn't working. And like then I actually like look up and breathe for a second, and everyone around me is doing the same thing. And I'm like, I call Brian back, and I'm like, dude, and I go over to the IT desk. I'm like, the internet is all down. Like the Ethernet cords, the Wi-Fi, it's all down. And he's like,
Well,
I guess we'll just have to replay a couple segments until
right. 31 teams are dealing with the same thing.
Pretty
right.
much every year we've had something like that. Now last year was a little more extreme. Usually it's like a 2
That
minute.
seems
Usually it's
crazy.
like a 2 minute hiccup. Last year it was like an hour, but
And it's usually from overuse. Yeah, I mean, because so many people here.
close to 100 radio broadcast tables alone.
Is that where we're at now?
Yeah, I think it's
it has to be more than
I think
ever.
it's 80 some tables.
I think at one point it was 32.
One for
I
each
think,
team.
yeah.
Yes.
But and there was like the Yahoos and those guys too, PFFs and those guys.
But you also have, think about, you've got
All
full
the stuff over
broadcast network
Right.
sets over there
Right,
for Sirius and ESPN and CBS. And
there's
it's
also
a
like
lot of-
podcasts over there that I've never heard of. I'm sure they're successful podcasts, but they wouldn't be able to afford this.
Right.
But still, like just a podcast table. There's one for Matthew Berry, who I know well. It's just a placard there that says Matthew Berry for a table. I haven't seen him yet.
A lot of fun today. Thanks to all of our guests. Thanks for Nathan and Justin for producing Back at the Ranch TV here, doing the video work with us on Radio Row. Last day of coverage tomorrow, 9 to 2. You'll have Matt and I with a special edition of The Drive with Rob King from noon until 2 to bring us on home. That'll do it for today. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.